Greetings. It is I, Bert.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the burning Yammer.
Oh, jeez. I feel like we should. Can you do a Vince McMahon intro promo?
Hey, pal. Do you like a podcast? Well, welcome to the burning Yammer.
Yeah, it's okay. You got it at the end. The beginning is a little. I don't know what that was at the the end.
You've never heard Vince McMahon like doing the "Hey pal" thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I was thinking more. Okay, I think you're thinking more current Vince. I was thinking like early '90s, like. It's Thanksgiving. It's time for the burning. Like that whole thing, you know. But that's fine.
Like
the barbarian squares off, you know, that whole thing. Go ahead.
You like in the modern day, kind of within the last 10 years, like you'll see Vince McMahon like in a backstage, like non-tape segment, like in a shoot way.
Yeah,
he'll like take someone aside and be like, "Hey pal,
hey pal,
hey."
Yeah.
Like that's like his thing. He's just like, "Hey pal."
Yeah,
and
there's
it became an earworm in my head where every time I hear or think about Vince McMahon, it starts off with, "Hey pal." And then the conversation just goes into, "It was me, Austin."
There's several eras. So like the original era was like, you know, it's all like this and oh my, and then for the promos. But then like late '90s was more like, you know, that, and then you know you get like do-rag Vince, where he's just saying the N-word, you know, and then now
Definitely
we have "Hey pal."
said the N-word.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Bert.
I'm Anthony.
This is Anthony, and today we are talking about AEW Full Gear 2021.
Woo!
Yay! It happened last night, and our brains are mashed potatoes.
It's okay. Definitely an interesting one. Like I've been stewing on it a little bit, and I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to exercise this demon out of my head.
Yeah, I have some thoughts, but weirdly enough, I think I liked the show more the next day. But we'll see what you came to the conclusion of. But AEW Full Gear 2021 from what was it? Minneapolis, Minnesota, November 13th, 2021. For those keeping track. The Target Center or something like that, because they had like shots of it.
Center. Yeah.
Boy, you know,
every arena is just named after a brand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you remember the days before the 10-10-3-2-1 center and the fucking what's the one in Florida? Because we had these
1-800 Collect Center.
Well, see, that's Julius. Like those are like the 2000s because we had all those 1-800 numbers. That's when that started. But like, oh god, there was an awful There's an awfully named Florida one because I lived in Florida. It's named after those fucking they're like fake ass insurance, like call a lawyer type hotlines.
Oh my god, like the General.
Well, the name's worse though.
JG Wentworth. This is the JG Wentworth Center.
No. I'm thinking of a much worse name. What the fuck?
Is it the Property Brothers Center?
You're going to keep guessing, and it's going to get worse. No, it's worse than any of the ones you're talking. I'm trying, like, I need, like, you know what, I'm Googling, like, worst named arenas. Because there's so many bad. Okay, so they have the Quicken. Actually, I'm just going to go through this funny Google list.
Quicken Loans?
Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. That name sucks, but it's not the one I was thinking of. Let me keep going. Scroll down. The Bojangles Coliseum in North Carolina. The KFC Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. So the Target Center is actually number 10. It's above all those. It's pretty bad. Whataburger Field. Oof.
What? Whataburger.
God damn it.
Here at the Whataburger Field.
What was the fuck? Oh my god, this is gonna drive me fucking nuts. Like, I know I'm wasting so much time. We're cutting out like all of this, or we're just leaving.
Oh,
it all in
no!
for
It's
no reason.
keeping it in. Bert, did you not realize you cannot edit audio once you've put it onto a digital form?
Listen, pal. Car accident. So fucking.
You just can't edit audio. That's the truth.
Okay, 411 pain. That's what it fucking was. Okay, did they have like a 411 pain? Did they have a fucking like stadium or something? Or they had like a GoDaddy. Maybe it was like GoDaddy or something.
Oh my God. 411 is like the information number.
Yeah, okay, like, but they had a number. It was 1-800-411-PAIN.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
I thought like you're supposed to report a street light and that your sciatica is acting up.
Okay,
again.
So I should correct myself. Basically, 1-800-411-PAIN is this awful lawyer referral service in Davie, Florida that does these horrible commercials. Like the worst commercials you can possibly imagine on the radio. But they did all these charitable functions. And so they would have the firm also organizes the 411 Pain Bowl between schools in Southern Florida, and is also like they do anti-bullying camp. I mean, they do apparently good things. My problem is they're in with Clear Channel radio, so I'm sure it's all like money laundering.
No,
I'm positive it's all like some weird money laundering scheme, but. The thing
not
is,
not only money laundering, but just straight up human sacrifice.
Sure, but I'm saying they did a bunch of events, so it would be like the 411 Pain Bowl, the 411 Pain South Florida All-Star Classic. You're like, that sounds like hot trash. Anyway, that's enough of my aside. We have too much show to. This is a 4-hour show. It was at the Target Center, which is a bad name, but honestly, in comparison to the Bojangles Coliseum, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Can you imagine wrestling? Like, that's the thing. Back in the day, wrestling like had historical places that have now been replaced with this shit.
Mm-hmm. Like, the Silverdome, brother. You know,
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Silverdome isn't even called the Silverdome anymore. It's probably like Goodstone fucking Stadium.
Goldstone Creamery. It's called the Pontiac Silverdome, but that's because it's in Pontiac, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
They haven't changed the name yet.
We had places like, I remember the Omni got changed here a little while back. Like, you know, the Cow Palace used to be a thing. Like, yeah, it was a weird thing, but like there's so much wrestling history that happened at like the Cow Palace. And like,
oh no.
What?
I have bad news about the Silverdome, brother. In September 2019, so like they had all of this because it's in Pontiac, Michigan. They had like it was demolished and shut down, and parts of it were falling apart and stuff.
The whole city?
No, the Silverdome. In September 2019, the city of Pontiac announced that Amazon was going to develop the Silverdome site into both a distribution facility and delivery center. Fuck my life.
Are you shitting me?
The Silverdome is a fucking Amazon center now.
Fuck off.
They're like, we brought 1,500 jobs into Pontiac. Fuck my life. Like, this sucks. So that's even worse than we thought it was. No, I'd rather it be renamed.
Like, okay, so here's the thing. I am not like a big, like, you know, sports fan in general. I like pro wrestling and I like a little bit of, you know, stuff here and there. But I'm sorry, like, for as little culture as America actually produces, like, at least sports culture is a thing.
Yeah,
and
I agree with
not only do I feel bad that like wrestling history has literally been cemented over to do an Amazon fucking fulfillment center. Like, for the other people, like, who are actual sports fans who, like, follow the history and everything like that, that is shitty. Yeah. That is beyond shitty. That is, like, literally just shoving it down our throats that no, this is the new world order. Like, moving in. Like,
unfortunately, I will also say, like, although I do love sports and support like fan cultures and the players and stuff, I will say that like sports in general, like the building of stadiums and the ownership of teams and stuff is generally like some real skeevish. Like, honestly, I think one of my biggest problems with Tony Khan is that he's so involved with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, that's like, oh geez, Tony. Anyway, Target Center name sucks, but
it's just a shame. That is a fucking shame. Like, everything else aside, like like, I mean, I don't know the football teams or anything like that, but imagine it's like you're doing one of those shows, or you're doing your own like history retrospective, and it's like, and there at the Silverdome where like the Falcons beat the Lynxes.
It's mostly the Lions, who the fell Lions on hard times, so that's probably a big reason
times,
why.
Baby.
But
like, you have to like, in the little history segment that you're reading or you're coming up with like, and this historic place held, the Superdome Bowl, and all of a sudden now it's an Amazon fulfillment center. Like, what the fuck? That sucks.
It sucks, and we're in late stage capitalism. But the show, first of all, we had the pre-show. Tony Schiavone interviewed Dante Martin about whether he wants to join Team Taz, who were in the skybox. Hook looking hilarious in a small little hoodie with his little bottle of water. Like, he looked like a teenager in the back of a car who like was not there. We're going on a family trip and he didn't want to go. He's like, fuck that. I want to stay home and play Call of Duty, but he has to go, which was very on brand for Hook, in my opinion.
He looked like, to me, like he had just graduated from the kids' table at family functions and was it was his first time at the adults' table, and he's like trying to adjust.
Little Darby Allin in the making here. But before Martin could say anything, Martin was literally about to cut a promo, and then the Acclaimed came out.
It's pretty funny at this point that they won't let Dante talk. I'm not gonna lie.
We mentioned this while we were watching the show, because we did watch it together, but like, look, I know he's not great on promos, but he's not going to get better if he constantly gets interrupted and can't talk. You have to let the kid suck for a while. It's fine. I think he's not horrible. He's fine.
The thing is, I think, one, we shouldn't be expecting him to do like big, fiery, passionate, like 2-minute segments. That's where his weaknesses first showed, whenever like they gave him the mic and they were like, you got cut 2 minutes. And to cut a promo, like, you need to, and this is what Leo Rush has been doing for him, is giving him bite-sized things to where he can react and learn and like try and figure out where his voice is. Because I'm not gonna lie, even though he only said a sentence, it was delivered with more passion and more believability than anything he's done before.
Sure, it was fine, but he didn't get to say anything. So something I want to say about, there's a lot of things I want to say about the Acclaimed, especially since we haven't talked about them on the show. So originally, I think the first 2 times I saw them, I was like, this is shit. It's WWE level go away heat, which is not what I want. Now, I've come around on them mainly because Bowens is good in the ring. Caster doesn't really work in the ring much, but I mean, he's good too, but they don't really have him work. And Caster's rapping isn't that bad. The gimmick wouldn't be so go away heat if he didn't go, yo, listen, before every single rap, because that's the problem. And also they interrupt everybody, which is, again, just heat. So I've come around on it. Now, the main things that I find interesting about the Acclaimed. Obviously, first off, Max Caster kisses everybody's hands.
Oh my god.
What is this about? I don't understand. He kisses their hands.
So I have no clue, but there's even been on matches on Dark where I forget who it was.
Is he kissing Jobber's hands? Like, why?
Yeah, he was kissing Jobber's hands and shit. I don't know. I have no clue. He is a little fucking freak. But he was in one match, and like the Jobber or the person, I can't remember who it was, like knew the hand kissing was about to happen, and he literally on camera is laying on his back on the mat and just puts his hands Al Bundy style into his pants, and like Max tries to like pull him out for a second, and then it's like, he's really going to resist me, and then he licks his face, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong
it's
with
a
you?
rib. It's a rib. He's definitely, this is like a super rib on everybody that everybody knows about, and I think they're okay with it, because otherwise they'd pull him aside and be like, Max, don't do that to me. I don't want.
Can you imagine the HR meeting where it's like, yes, Platinum Max Caster.
That's a big thing about Max in general, is he is an HR disaster waiting to happen, I feel. But so the second thing is the scissoring.
Oh my god. So like he did it once on Dark and it popped Taz. Like Taz started dying laughing.
So for those at home who don't know, their little hand symbol, like instead of too sweet, they scissor their fingers together. In the A, they scissor the A's together.
Yeah, they take their two fingers, make an A, and that's the Acclaimed have arrived.
They know what they're doing.
Then they profusely begin slamming the crooks of their fingers together.
They know exactly what they're doing. And the third thing is the impression of the Acclaimed I get, because they've already done a few. Their thing is they do shoots in their raps. Like they go like this one. They said like Team Taz is on TV less than we are, which is definitely an acknowledgement of that. And then it's like Leo Rush has retired 15 times or whatever. Haha, you know. So like,
yeah, and Dante can't cut a promo.
But mainly, like, I get the impression. Okay, so Tony clearly loves the Acclaimed, and I say this because Tony is always doing gimmick angles with the Acclaimed, like every month, all the time. So I get the impression.
The show that I went to, the Acclaimed came out, and Tony and them sparred, verbally sparred.
I get the impression that whatever is in the Acclaimed's raps is like Tony Khan's self-deprecation. Tony's like, okay, whatever you put in your rap this week, just tell me whatever complaints you think people have about the show. And then he's like, well, what about this? And Tony's like, okay. Like I get the feeling
criticism through the Acclaim.
Yes, like I get the feeling. I would almost say Tony goes through his mentions on Twitter and finds the complaints and is like, Max, do something with this. Like that's what it feels like. Martin Bowens was like, join us or I'll beat you up, which is probably a bad thing to say because Martin just said no and then punched him. Hit its okay.
And then Dante proceeded to break the procedurally generated ring level.
Oh,
and start
okay.
Glitching through the air.
I remember what he said now. He said that in the rap. He said that Dante is the only exciting thing about this boring ass town. That's what he said. So he's still upping Dante and saying Dante's exciting. His town sucks because it's a hometown hero thing. So this was a fine little angle to get Dante more over. Dante's shirt is cool, Yeah.
God. Here's the thing. The Acclaimed have really grown on me.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Max really pushed the edginess with the Simone Biles rap and everything, and that was very bad.
It was bad.
And the thing is, it seems like someone actually explained the idea of like punching up and down to him. Like his raps have moved from being edgy to being scathing, which I think is a much better thing in this modern day of wrestling.
Yeah. I do wish one of the things with AEW is I wish the edginess would be removed entirely, because it's not just him. It's like Jericho does edgy shit. Lambert does pseudo edgy shit. There's a few other people, but it's like, just cut that shit off the show. We don't need that. Yeah. Actually, they cut. Who was it that I don't remember? I think Caster cut a rap last time about somebody's wife being with 15 guys or some shit, and I was like, fuck off, like, get that shit out of here.
No, it was whenever he was talking about Jungle Boy, because that's what it was. Anna Jay hang out with 7 other dudes.
Yeah, and that's like
come on, man.
If you want to cut a promo on Jungle Boy, then you have plenty of material. Like, you don't need to bring Anna Jay and slut shame Anna Jay or whatever weird shit you're into. Like, calm down. Yeah.
Because, come on, it is canonical that the Dark Order have dark orgies every week.
Right.
Like, that is in the canon.
Well, so, they're freaks. Like, John Silver's eating poop every week, like, just constantly.
Well,
and checking Alan's butthole,
Yeah, one, you have to check Alan's butthole. You never know what's in there.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
Like, you can't. And then 2, like, he was forced to eat the poop. Like, Budge absolutely goaded him into it.
If we get into being the elite angles, we'll be here forever. Nothing on being the elite is canon. Okay, that's my rule. Okay. Pre-show match was Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida against Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter, with Vicky Guerrero on the outside. 12 minutes, 3 seconds. So, I'm not going to talk about the women's division yet, because I'll wait till the main show. But this was a good match. I thought Thunder and Shida were a great babyface team. I haven't decided on Jamie yet, because I think this match made me more believe that she's been working with people who aren't as good, and she's been struggling because they're struggling. And because she was better in this match, she takes fucking rough ball. Like, I'm really worried she's going to get injured, because this was the second time in a week that she did a fucking splat to the outside. And I was I think she's dead. Because she does like a plancha, and no matter who it is, they don't really catch her so much as crumple, and she just splats.
Well, no, it's Thunder Rosa doing the plancha, and Jamie Hayter is jumping up to take the move, which in the ring is perfectly fine, and it looks cool. Bubba Ray Dudley used to do that all the time, and it would really sell like Spike Dudley.
Oh, you're right. It was like Rosa on Hayter.
But the thing is, Hayter jumps up with it and takes the bump to the fucking concrete, and Thunder Rosa all of a sudden like goes from a 130-pound woman to all of a sudden like gravity takes hold of her, and then she's like 500 pounds and just kills Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
Oof.
The other thing, and this is really a quibble, because I like Nyla, and I think Nyla is good. But I feel like Nyla does a lot of strength spots, and it really seems like a lot of them, she doesn't seem to get people up like efficiently. Like, she goes to do like, it's not military presses, but she puts people in fireman's carries, like she's gonna do like a Samoan or something else, and it takes a good bit. And I'm really worried, like, while she's doing it, I'm worried she's gonna drop them, like, every time, because I don't know. She does a bunch of moves like this, and I'm like, I understand she's like, quote unquote, bigger, and she does stronger moves, but like, I feel like she could change up her wheelhouse a little, because I definitely worry that like it just looks in the ring a little clumsy. Like, okay, I have to muscle you up. Okay, now I have to figure out the move. And this is like quibbling, honestly. This match was mostly pretty good, especially since Jamie had good people to work with, and Sheeta and Rosa are great.
So here's the thing with Jamie is, I saw her work on the independents a little bit. Saw her in WWE, and like she is one of those people who instantly understood, oh, I need a personality.
Yes.
And she gets that across.
She's good at that, yeah.
I wish that Jamie was not associated with Britt Baker. I wish that Britt, it was still just
Reba. Yeah.
Reba. Because I felt like that act didn't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2, if Jamie Hayter was like by herself and doing this, like full of herself, like strong woman gimmick.
Yes.
I feel like it would be getting over a lot more, but because she's like, and here's the thing, Britt Baker is inherently a goofy character.
Right.
Like, and Jamie Hayter, I feel like, does not benefit at this time from being poor, like having that goofiness kind of like rub off on her.
Yeah, I agree.
And
you gotta also look at the fact that like even outside of Britt, like because having a different assistant or valet could change Britt's reputation, but like being alongside Reba, like I love Reba, but Reba is a joke. She is a geek.
Reba is a walking comedy machine.
Right. So by extension, Jamie, she isn't a geek, but she's made to look more like a geek because she's hanging out with Reba all the time and doing the same stuff, which is like, it just doesn't really. And Britt, honestly, I don't even think Britt needs Reba that bad. Although I think Reba doesn't have anything else to do, so it's fine. But like,
I think Reba adds to Britt just because Britt is at her core a plastic fake weirdo.
Yes, I think she needs a lackey. I guess that does work. But and Jamie doesn't really work.
Her having a lackey is great, and then like Jamie's supposed to be the heater.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, Jamie has unfortunately just been acting more like a lackey, which like the very first time Jamie came out, like, solo entrance where she had that big ass fur coat and she drops it down, past her shoulders and she shows off her muscles. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good.
It was good.
And then she has to go down and like Yakety Sax begins playing and there's a big disconnect.
There was actually a point where I believe it was this match where Jamie, or it was either Jamie or Nyla, I can't remember which one. They got like some kind of safe strike or a clothesline or something. They didn't sell it that hard, and then it was like Rosa, and so she put her in the corner and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna sell now because you don't have a choice. So I'm just gonna stiff the fuck out of you." Like that's how Rosa works. Yeah. Like she's just gonna put a drop kick on you, and she ain't gonna go easy. She's gonna fucking drop kick through your body, and you're gonna die. So.
Like, that's the thing. I know it's like, when you're looking at like tough people and it's like, we as wrestling fans often put ourselves in that position where we're like, ooh, I wouldn't want to take that move from that person.
Yeah.
And, you got your Daniel Bryans, your Minoru Suzuki's, but like anything from Thunder Rosa, I would not take.
Nope.
Fuck that.
She's like the Vader of the women's division. I don't even know. Actually, I don't know if she'd apologize after. Vader would at least cry afterwards. I don't think Thunder Rosa would.
Thunder Rosa just paralyzes a kid and is just like, what? If he dies, he dies.
So the main things for me in this match were Serena Deeb was in the crowd. Thank you, AEW, because she's my girl, and I need... The thing I want to happen with this whole angle is because I believe Rosa and Sheeta... Actually, all of these women might still be in the qualifiers. I don't know if Hayter is, but I would prefer that Shida. I mean, Rosa winning would be fine too, but I would, if Shida's going to win the TBS title tournament, I would prefer Deeb to destroy her afterwards. But we're not there yet.
I want to see Shida and Deeb go into a fucking storyline. Because, so here's the thing. There has been one women's storyline that has been absolutely undeniably successful, and that was Thunder Rosa versus Britt.
Yeah.
Now, everyone seems to forget, however, that match had 3 months of build-up. Mm-hmm. Because Thunder Rosa would attack Britt Baker, from behind. Britt Baker would attack her. They'd come out during each other's matches. There was a literal blood feud to be settled in that match.
Yeah.
And that's one reason that it's great. It wasn't just because of the spots. It was because Thunder Rosa was finally getting her hands on Britt Baker. And that's one thing, that's the rocket fuel that the women's division has not had.
Yes.
Is I know these characters individually, but none of them are really interacting with one another in ways that are cool and interesting, save for, right now, Shida and Serena Deeb.
Mm-hmm.
Serena Deeb is a arrogant heel who is dead set on not letting Shida succeed and wants to be at the top of the division.
Yes.
And that is completely understandable. And then Shida is, a classic white meat baby face, and she's good at it. She's very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see, I don't know, I think they really need to kayfabe spice it up and Serena Deeb, I don't know, kidnap one of Shida's relatives or something.
Well, right. So first of all, I 100% agree, but I was thinking about getting this more on the show, but I'll get into it now. So there's been a lot of talk about AEW's women's division, and honestly, I think we're both in agreement too that that the women's division is the weakest part of AEW by far. And there's been Tony Khan had a media scrum before this show, and they asked him.
I wasn't able to reverse engineer this one, so could you explain this kerfuffle to me?
A journalist, a woman journalist, essentially asked him. I'm not going to be able to find the exact quote, I don't think. But essentially, let me see if I can find it. She had a question on whether AEW has plans to hold an all-women's event. Which, now, personally, this question to me is a little... Loaded. To me, that question is cart before the horse. Okay? Mm-hmm. You don't, if you have a women's division, which I don't think is that hot, the answer is not to have an all women's event. I mean, that might be something you look at, but to me that smacks of, and I'm probably reading a little into this, but to me that says the person asking it or the people that want to know the answer to want a yes to that, they think that having an all women's event fixes these problems. And I don't agree with that. Now, that is reading into it. But what Tony said is, I'm going to cut off your question right there because I don't think I get enough credit. I have been making a big effort to grow and improve our women's division. And he specifically referenced the NWA Empower thing and how he was actually displeased with them because they didn't really say, hey, thanks for letting us use all your talent. Let's work out something. It was just he said, hey, you can use these people. And they were like, okay. And they did. And then they never got back to him.
That sucks because I would like to see I was hoping that it was going to be a combination of the two divisions, kind of.
I saw who's the Russian girl with the hair?
Masha Slamovich.
I saw Slamovich and I was like, fuck, I want her on AEW. And she did work one match, I think. But it was like a really small thing. I'm like, I want her to fucking sign. She's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then God, what the fuck is her name? She has like a Tootie, fucking local
Tootie
talent.
Lynn.
Tootie Lynn, who has a talent. I mean, she could come to AEW at some point, but I think she had a match.
She's worked 2 matches.
There you go.
She's worked 2 matches.
So it's kind of working out, but like it basically NWA didn't really have. I think that was more like, I think Tony, that might have felt like more like I'm kind of having to poach talent because they're not really suggesting anything, and these guys just work independent.
Also,
anyway.
Like, here's the thing: like Billy Corgan is notoriously known for like just being a shithead.
Right.
And like,
yes.
So the thing is, they had to have the tacit approval of Billy Corgan to do the NWA Power event.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was, headline produced and like, scouted and run by Mickey and
James.
Mickey James and Gail Kim.
Yeah.
Which
is awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome. And the show was good.
It was a good show. Yeah, we watched it.
I heard about it the day before and I said $20 for a pay-per-view like this.
And it was very good. Like, we had fun.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to a lot of different characters, like, the Hex, for example.
The Hex were good, yeah.
They won the tag team titles. God, who was it? The second generation woman who was very good, who had like a wrestling gimmick. They wrestled the Hex in the first match. I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember, but yeah, she was really cool.
She
was like
amazing.
The redhead?
Yeah. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And like also on that show, like, they had a trans wrestler and, there was no storyline about them being trans, which I appreciate.
They had the great Layla Hirsch match as well.
Layla Hirsch versus Camille. God damn, that was a banger.
Yeah, but
yeah. They had to have the tacit approval of that, and I have a feeling, and as people leave, I have a feeling that Billy Corgan was probably not pleased with that event. Not because it didn't sell well, because actually it sold better than the pay-per-view next day.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it was literally one of those things of, oh yeah, we can do business. He saw how the business was going, realized that he wasn't like absolutely a part of it, and lost interest. I don't think he was necessarily like resentful of it, but was just like, yeah, whatever. It was a one-off.
I agree.
And that explains why, Tony was like, well, I didn't hear it back. Because, I mean, as much as Mickey James and Gail Kim are running it, they have to go through Billy Corgan, and Billy Corgan seems to tolerate the women's division more than promote it.
Now, the main thing I want to say, because there was a big brouhaha about all this, like, because Tony literally said, I'm going to cut off your question right there. So everybody's like, oh, he cut off a woman talking about when, like immediately that the Scream team comes for him. And it's like, calm the fuck down. Like, that shit is not necessary. And then it was a thing about like,
I saw some of it where it was like, listen at Tony congratulating himself just like a man. And
well, yeah, it was a lot of like, oh, okay, like it's mansplaining how much he's done for the, all this business. And it's like, look, okay. I didn't personally like some of his response, because my main thing is, I think the women's division needs work. And and now the problem I have with putting it on Tony is I can't tell how much work is actually going on behind the scenes and how much isn't. Like, literally, because I see bad matches happen, and like with Penelope, and I go, okay, so when they go backstage, do Dean or Jerry Lynn sit Penelope down and go, okay, here's where you fucked up, here's where you need to fix it? Or is it like nothing gets said and then we just... Now, the one thing that I know for sure, which I agree with you on, is there's not enough storylines. Okay?
No.
Because there's a lot of people on Twitter whose response to this was like, and honestly, I originally said it would help to have more than one women's match a show. But I don't think that's, thinking on it, I don't think that's actually the problem. Because it's not a matter of how many matches you put on the show. It's a matter of whether the storylines are and the women are represented as important. So, like, the only ones I can think of are Sheeta and Deeb, which is really more Deeb, because she has a character and angle here. Sheeta's just chasing wins and stuff, which is normal. And then Jade, which she doesn't have a feud. Jade is just Jade. She's clearly important. They have promos and angles. But, like, in my opinion, Jade should be in a feud. Or she should be crushing people. You know, Jade is better on the list. But, like, you know, Rosa isn't in that position. Anna Jay isn't in that position. Sheeta isn't. I mean, Sheeta's in the Deeb thing, but before that happened, she wasn't. Really, none of the women are in. Britt is just the champion, and she ain't in a feud. Yeah. Somebody just shows up every month and says, "I'm gonna fight you because I'm number one," and then she goes, "Okay, we'll fight," and then they fight, and it's like, but there's no build.
That's been one of the most disappointing things because, like, get Britt to focus on someone.
Yes.
For, like, a couple of weeks. And, like, with the Ty Conti thing, they yelled at each other a little bit, and, like, Britt, unfortunately, is... you know, we were talking about the edginess earlier and everything. Britt is a instigator of edgy shit.
Totally. 100%. She does shoot promos like every time. Yeah.
Yeah, and she needs to be called out for it. Like, she did, you know, decent about it, but, like, there was the time where she, like, I'm pretty sure she called Tony, like, you know, a fat, slovenly piece of shit or something like that, you know, and, like, fat shamed a couple of members of the women's roster. I think she even called Nyla fat.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even mind that if Nyla said, "Fuck you, that's not what it's about," and, like, turned it around, like, made it a babyface thing, like, you're a shithead for even bringing that up and has nothing to do with anything, I'm gonna kick your ass. Then it'd be like, okay, cool, fuck yeah, like, make it a real thing. But, like, it's just her getting away with being edgy, which is, like, it feels very WWE. Yeah,
and so, like, she does this edgy stuff, and with Ty, like, they tried to make the angle about, oh, Ty Conti shows her ass or whatever, and it's like, this sucks.
You know what sucks most about it, honestly? Because I liked their match. I didn't like the build, but I liked the match. And I go on Twitter today, and Ty Conti is trending. And I click the trend, and you can probably guess what 90% of the fucking tweets are. It's just, wow, Ty's got a big ass. She's got a great ass. Wow, her ass is so great. I'm like, motherfuckers, she just had a great match. Can you fuckers, like, talk about the match?
Jesus Christ.
Like, I understand, like, Twitter is full of fucking perverts and weirdos, but, like, just, and okay, I will say, I don't know if I'd call it a great match. It was a good match for what it was. The problem was the build.
It was a good match. They gave, like, Ty
worked really hard.
Yeah, Ty Conti was able to showcase what she could do, and that was my hope going into the match. And Ty showed grit, determination, and her moves are cool as hell. Like, her pump kick, I'm sorry, that's the best pump kick in the business. Like, you know.
Well, I'm sorry. We will get to it. I need to, like, hold off on Ty, but I will. I'm just saying, like, the reaction to the women is
absolutely deplorable. Like, come on.
And then, you have the opposite end saying, make them have more matches and that fixes everything. It's like, no.
It does not. No.
You need, because the men have the same problem sometimes. Because honestly, I love Punk to death. I've always loved Punk. But like, before this Eddie thing, he was just saying, I want to fight somebody. And then they fought, and it's fine. But it's not an angle. It's not a storyline. It's just, hey, let's fight. Then they fight. Then Punk wins. This was next level because it's a storyline. It's a focus on them. So do that with the women. Do the same thing.
Absolutely. Like, the women need to be doing things to one another that changes their relationship with one another.
They need characters to change and grow and build through what happens in the ring. That's why Britt is so over, because that Rosa match changed her and made her different to the crowd and the audience.
Because they saw her with the crimson fucking mask and her smiling deviously, and people were like, whoa, that's badass, that's cool. And it added an edge to Britt's character that unfortunately we've only seen like pop out once since then, and that was
Abaddon
against
match.
Abaddon.
Yeah, well, she can't have street fights every time.
But she could be doing dastardly evil things.
Agreed.
Like,
she needs to be a heel.
Put people's like hands in the chair and stomp on the chair, like simple things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's where they're going with Deeb, but like we talked about that too, is if I was fantasy booking the women's division, you need more, not even just heels, you need more intensity. You need people who want to win no matter what, who get pissed off and do damage. Even if their faces can do this too. Like, fucking Austin wasn't sitting around on his fucking thumbs being white meat. He went out there and he beat ass and he fucking got in people's faces. Eddie fucking Kingston is a face right now, whether they want to say he is or not. He goes out there and he says, I'm going to kick your ass. I don't care if I win. I want the women to do that too. I want them to be fighters. And a lot of them are just, they're wrestling characters, which is fine sometimes, but like a lot of them are like that. It's like, go out there and fucking kill, like at least act like you're killing somebody,
So here's what I think it is. So, I don't think that the women's division has an advocate behind the scenes, like a true ardent advocate.
I think that's true.
And what this means is, I think that Tony has, he has famously like taken on all of the booking. Now, a lot of that has, a lot of it runs itself, because like Hangman and Kenny, they absolutely are doing that themselves. And so like the thing is, I think that Tony Khan is stretched very thin, and like he suggests things for the women's division to do.
And they just agree, probably.
Or gets pitched things that are like, and I think, a lot of it plays into it where like none of the women probably want to be like seen as the outspoken person, especially.
It's a common thing in like workplaces too, is like, like, and this isn't saying like women are weaker, because that's not the problem is like women learn through toxic workplace environments or just typical workplace environments that if they get that ambition or they try to speak up, then they are punished for it, or it just doesn't, like, they cause problems with other women, stuff like that. So like they have to be more passive, and then the problem is like in the women's division, that means, and I don't, again, this is all speculation. We're both speculating about
it's
this.
It's all speculating, but I mean, the thing is, like, one architect of, like, say, the rise of the Four Horsewomen back in 2015, 2016. Right. The reason that happened, and you can, like, yes, absolutely, the four horsewomen were working their asses off, but they had an advocate. They had someone who was in charge of the show or who had the ear of the person, and they absolutely made it to where these women had characters, angles, edges, like things going on.
Yeah.
And that was Sarah Del Rey.
Yep.
Sarah Del Rey is the architect of the four horsewomen, period, through and through.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there needs to be in the women's division a figure like that. Like, Dustin Rhodes works with the women, but he has been working on their in-ring stuff.
Yeah.
And there needs to be someone who is an advocate for the women and needs to either take the booking away from Tony Khan or passionately speak to Tony Khan to get things done. And I think until that person shows up, and it could be Thunder Rosa who does this, because Thunder has been very vocal on a lot of different like Mexican podcasts and stuff like
100%,
that.
yeah.
And it could be Thunder. But Thunder also would have to worry about, like,
she works,
you know, so. the Kevin Sullivan,
the Kevin Nash type thing too. Yeah, but I think, yeah, I agree. But I think, like, I mean, if I was Tony, fuck, we did the Empower show. Hire Gail Kim, hire Mickie James, get one of these people in fucking creative, like women's creative.
No way that fucking Billy Corgan is paying Mickie James more than $10 in a slap.
And Mickie James fucking deserves a fucking good paycheck. She works her ass off for the business and clearly cares about it. So, like, and you know, Gail's awesome, obviously. I don't fucking care. Hire both of them. You know, do whatever you got to do, but like, definitely. And this is kind of what I said in my tweet, was like, it's fine to say you've done a lot of work. And I don't disagree with it. I actually think Tony's done a lot of work. But it's also good to be able to say, I need help. Like, I need someone to help me get this where it needs to be. Because I can't do it all by myself. Well, I mean, maybe you can, but it's going to take longer. Whereas it could just be good next month, you know? Like,
so, I mean, that's the thing. I think with the start of the AEW's women division, whenever they brought out a lot of the Joshi wrestlers, doing like the six women tag matches and stuff, like, if you're having spectacle matches like that, then the stories don't necessarily matter. Or they can, or the individual characters can get their stories across
through the ring,
while it's going on. And the Joshi women are like adept at that. And so one thing is, I think that whenever the pandemic came through, it not only caused a whole bunch of like scheduling problems, but the Joshis were not able to come over. And I think that was where they were going, was like kind of letting the Joshi women like Emi Sakurai come over. And I mean, that's someone who might be the advocate, is Emi Sakurai.
Sure.
The pandemic, you know, stopped all that, and, you know, then we have Big Swole with Crohn's disease, and she's had several unfortunate flare-ups at very inopportune times, because Swole should be presented in a much better way. And
I agree.
You know, the Crohn's disease, and like, there's several women that have just been left at the wayside, excuse me, because of pandemic or health problems, injuries. And so, all this to say, I think that there needs to be a unabashed advocate for the women. Not to speak for them necessarily, but to cement their place on the card and to look at Tony and go, no, we're skipping a match this week and we're doing character building segments.
Totally.
Like,
I think
that would be fun. Like, have the women do several backstage segments of something that means something.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, we got way off the topic of this match. The match was good. But yeah, it's not off the topic, but yeah, like.
Well, it was very important. We haven't talked about it, and like, you know, we're both very big advocates of women's wrestling. I think it is.
I love women's wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be a separate thing necessarily.
Right.
But that's intergender stuff. We'll talk about that later.
I have Deeb's shirt that says the best women's wrestling world has women's crossed out, which is speaks to me because it's not like the delineation doesn't matter to me. It's fucking wrestling. It rules if women have a great match, and it's just a normal wrestling match that everybody says, you know, match of the year, regardless of whether it's men's or women's, you know. So yeah, the match itself, go ahead.
A fine match. A fine match. I don't know that it was like the hot opener that should have necessarily been.
I thought it was it was a decently hot opener. I think with heat, the main we'll get into that. We'll talk about that once we get into the main show. I know. Sheeta got the jackknife cradle on she rolled through the frog splash into the jackknife cradle to get the win. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone interviewed Orange Cassidy on Best Friends. This was really short. He said he asked Jeeves, who was in Chaos. So they were teasing the announcement at the end of the show that Ishii is coming on Dynamite, which fucking rules, and I love it.
Ishii and Orange Cassidy, the comedy and the badassness writes itself.
Yes, I could have Ishii work with anybody. He's MVP in my heart. I love that man.
Oh my god. Fucking Stone Pitbull.
Yeah, so the show starts. MJF versus Darby Allin in a 22-minute match. Okay, so
I called this one. I did say that this was going to be the opener, and I was correct.
You were correct, and I think this was second best match of the night, and it was pretty close. So like this was a class, like an instant classic in my opinion. The one thing I will say a negative, which luckily is before the match, is this. I don't hate Darby, but I don't get this fucking videotape shit. I don't get it. Maybe I'm old, but he had a big giant intro where he drew an old banged up car that said loser on it, and then he flipped the car and threw a Molotov in it. Because I guess the car was MJF.
Like student films, like I've gotten a lot of entertainment, but the longer they've gone on, like they keep getting more elaborate and strange, and I think someone has to like, you know, start editing this and be like, no, Darby, less is more.
I get a big Bray Wyatt bang off of it, which is like, let's scale it back a little bit. I think Darby is a cool, quiet but deadly guy. I don't think he needs to do big, elaborate, like, look at me intros. And it's so...
I mean, I don't mind him. Like, he did one where he, like, put himself in a body bag and bungee jumped off a bridge.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty cool. Like, him doing death-defying stunts or, like...
Well, he was in a car that did a flip, you know. Like...
Yeah, but I mean, he was not in that fucking car.
I know.
But, yeah, like, I forget who it was, but, like, had, like, their face at, like, a dining table that, like, you know, looked like a fucked up Alice in Wonderland deal and then, like, lit the room on fire. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's fine in principle.
Getting in a General Lee and like eating shit on a riverbank and then setting it on fire, I don't know what the message is.
No,
like,
and they have like people with MJF masks on or something. It's so goofy. Anyway, so now speaking of angles, they have been doing this angle for at least a month, where MJF is putting Darby on this like level of him and Darby, and I think it's Sammy and it's not Moxley, is it? It's somebody younger than that.
No, it's Sammy and
Jungle Boy. So those are the four pillars of AEW, which is, you know, MJF's very tongue-in-cheek. I feel like I do like that he's doing this, but I do feel like this. I feel like whenever he does the kind of shoot I love wrestling, like the insider stuff, it really kind of does some weird things with his character, because you can tell he's a little more of a mark than he lets on, you know what I mean? Which is fine.
Yeah.
I like it because only the insiders can see it. Anybody who doesn't follow that shit or know what he's referencing is like, oh, okay, cool. But he said those are...
I mean, he said the 4 pillars, and I just have no clue what he's talking about. I don't even know why I'm on this podcast.
I'm just a dumb man. Is that like the 4 pillows? Is that what he meant? JR?
Goddamn, JR, call of the night, the 4 pillows. Wait, what's that? Is that Medi Ten-Kun out in the audience?
I don't know.
Goddamn pillow.
It might be second. It might be second best call of the night behind not the damn bunt cake. So the angle has been that MJF, ostensibly a bad, shitty person, has been upping all 4 of these people, himself included, of course, as like the next 4 big like stars and champions of the company, and he is obviously the top one. So therefore, he's making the case that he's better than Darby, even though Darby is in the top 4 of the company. So this is a very good, like, heels don't have to bury people to get over. Nope. And the big angle of it originally he was trying to get in Darby's head. That wouldn't work because Darby doesn't have anything in his brain. I don't know what the deal is. No, he's not a Bushi or anything.
It was a good wrinkle, though.
I liked it, but then it became like you do crazy bumps and crazy shit, and you're a stuntman. I do wrestling, which I actually loved this angle, and it worked out perfect. But with the women's thing we're talking about, they built an angle for a whole month and then paid it off at the pay-per-view. Let the women do that shit. Like, if Ty...
let them scream at each other.
If Ty at the beginning of last month said, I'm coming for you, Britt Baker, and you think you're so great because da-da-da-da-da, but I'm going to prove that you're wrong because of this. I have this over you. The match would have been so much more hype and crazy.
So much better. And then also, like, last week, Ty Conti had some very strong words. We have Ty here. Ty, what else do you want to say to Britt Baker? And then Britt Baker comes in and just blasts her, behind her back. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, Britt Baker assaults her on the way to her car.
Yeah, and I know there's people out there who will be like, well, English isn't Ty's first language, English isn't Sheeta's first language, but you can work around that shit. No, I kind of get it, because they can't cut like 5-minute promos in the ring, but like you can work around that shit easily. It's just
I'm
angles.
Sorry, like Penta has shown that
exactly.
you can cut an entire fucking promo in Spanish, and people get it.
Or have her cut it in Brazilian or Portuguese or whatever, and have somebody right next to her saying, this is what she said. Or have fucking subtitles. I don't care what you do. Have subtitles. Fuck it. Just get the thing across instead of being I guess they're fighting,
Ty has such good facials and such good character work that if she gets hung up on the English, she can just go nuts.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, off of the women's thing. The build to this was that MJF can out wrestle him. He can beat him with a headlock takeover. He can do whatever. So the thing is I went into this thinking, okay, and this is kind of how I think about a lot of matches that have this kind of angle to them is, that's interesting. Let's see how much it actually plays into the match. And the first 5 minutes of this was some of the nuttiest chain wrestling I have ever seen in my life. Yep. Like, just absolutely insane reversals, counters, flip outs, cradles. They did like double bridges, fucking bridges out of bow and arrows, all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, oh fucking K. This is like, all that stuff that MJF said, they delivered on all of that in like the first 5 minutes. So I was like, holy shit. Like, yeah, I already know this is classic 5 minutes in, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, I haven't seen that kind of work from Darby at all, which is great because usually that's what happens is the other guy says, you can't do this, but I can. They have a match. Maybe the guy does 1 or 2 spots like that before he goes back to doing what he does. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And this wasn't like that. Darby proved he can do that shit, which is like, crazy. Oh man. There were a lot of scary spots in this match.
Yeah, there were.
Darby did a coffin drop to the outside. Well, he did one on the apron, which sucks. Fucking MJF basically did. It was like I think it's a backbreaker. He did a backbreaker and sold his knee. And then the rest of the match was MJF's fucking knee. And some of the best selling for like a localized spot you will ever see. Like, this man was limping around the ring. He couldn't do anything. And then
dragging his leg behind him like a dog that got hit by a car.
Yep. And Darby chop blocked him. He fucking hit him in the front of the knee, did figure fours. MJF at one point gave him a power bomb onto his knee, which is, I haven't seen that done before, but I was instantly like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I've only seen Tommaso Ciampa and the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong, do that move, and I love it. I love it.
And I think he was working Darby Allin's back the whole time. So he did like what did he do? He did a Scorpion Deathlock. He did the powerbomb onto the knee. It was basically like, my knee that I used to hurt your back, which they were both hurt the whole time. I thought the Scorpion Deathlock was great. There was a Code Red. There was just so much stuff that was glorious.
There was so much, and I mean, it was very good. The spot of the night for me, or spot of this match, was the roll through figure 4. Like, that was smooth as butter. Darby, once again, proved throughout the entire match, because you're very correct, like, he didn't just start reverting back to his normal stuff. Like, he was still doing wrestling moves, and absolutely proved that he deserves to be recognized as a wrestler.
Yeah, totally. Was this the match with the rolling cradles, or was that... Which match was that? I can't remember.
Yeah,
okay.
That was this one where they both did an inside cradle to each other and were countering it, and then began rolling around the entire match. Matt, and how they were doing that, like, they had to do that with just their shoulder muscles. Yeah. Like, god damn.
It was awesome. At one point, Wardlow and Shawn Spears... This was great, in my opinion, because of the way they did it. Wardlow and Shawn Spears came out, but the only reason you knew they came out was because Sting was instantly battering them and taking them back to the back. So, like, not even, just barely even the suggestion of interference, and it's immediately getting, like, kiboshed. Like, no interference. They're fucked
and
up.
It makes the baby faces like, they're gonna cheat. Like, every time the baby faces, generally, they're getting better about this in the last few months, but generally the baby face is always like, I can't believe that they would cheat. What?
Yeah, that's classic stupid babyface behavior. Like, you have to, as a babyface, you have to be smart enough and vicious enough to know that the heels are going to attempt to cheat and plan accordingly, or make you are at a disadvantage, so you have to work around that. You have to overcome the odds because, also by kayfabe, the reason the heels have to cheat is because they can't straight up beat the baby faces. So really, it's even. But as long as the baby faces know what they're up against. So yeah, there was so much good stuff with this. Basically, once that happened, the skateboard, MJF got Darby's skateboard, brought it in the ring, and then it was a question of, I think for a second, it was kind of like, why has he got the skateboard? Because you can't hit him with the skateboard because he'll get DQ'd, and that really defeats the purpose of the match. But no, he gave the skateboard to Darby and basically said, hit me with the skateboard, turn heel, come to the dark side. Yeah.
Well, prove that, you're not a wrestler.
Right.
Prove that you're just this spot monkey, this stunt mechanic.
Exactly. Do a kickflip and prove it, Do
a barrel roll.
Exactly. Darby just handed the skateboard to Bryce. And
now that was a dumb move. He should have just rolled it out of the ring, but yeah, he handed it to Bryce, and MJF reaches into his pants, which the entire time, he kept adjusting his tights.
He had the gimmick in there. You could see the string.
We all knew. But now the cool thing is, originally I thought that he was just kind of messing up, and the thing was shifting around in his pants.
That's what I thought.
Not as a work. Mm-hmm. But because of this, he literally pulls the ring out, hits Darby with it, and puts it back so fast that unless you saw the foreshadowing, which was pretty obvious, if he had done that, people would have thought, oh, he just hit him and then headlock takeover?
Yeah, that's true, actually, because I think if you hadn't seen the gimmick earlier, you wouldn't have even known it was a gimmick, because it was so quick. Yeah.
And that was because, one, the ref didn't, take the skateboard and, lay it into a velvet box and begin slowly wrapping it.
Yeah, he didn't have that much time, yeah.
Because, Bryce went, took the skateboard, motioned someone over, they grabbed the skateboard, and Bryce was back. MJF had to do this in 4 seconds.
Right.
And he just straight up, whoa, wham, boom, back in the pants, headlock takeover, MJF wins. He is the first pillar of AEW.
I was very glad he won, because Darby doesn't really need the win. No. And MJF he needs to be one of the biggest heels in the company.
And you cannot have MJF being defeated often.
And he cheated to win, so it's not it. And as far as cheating to win finishes go, this was alluded to perfectly. It was perfectly executed. It wasn't like anybody felt they got cheated watching this match. This was an amazing match.
You got everything you wanted out of the match, and you got the foreshadowing where you knew that MJF had something, stuffed in his pants.
I'd probably give this 4 3/4, to be honest. It's that high on my list because there really wasn't much bad I could say about it. It was just ridiculously good. I don't think I'll go 5 because that's for later, but
for me, 4.5, because I think in their next encounter, if they build another encounter, I think they're going to go really nutty. So 4.5.
Yeah. But great.
So what was our next one? Because I can't remember.
Lucha Bros versus FTR with Tully Blanchard for the tag team championship, 19 minutes. This match was insane. I don't know what that means. What means? There's a lot that happened in here. The intros. FTR come out with their ridiculous double fucking Mexican and American knee pads.
Oh my god, just the fact that they're like, no, we're luchadors. Oh, it's so fucking
See, I love
good.
that gimmick.
I would love to see some AAA stuff and see how it's going over, because I would hope that crowd is nuclear.
I hope so. And then Penta and Fenix come out, and basically a bunch of troops come out, and then they scare the troops. They scare the troops into having PTSD. But they're great. So
yeah,
I'm trying
weird entrance.
Yeah, it was kind of
weird. Know what they
I'm okay with it. It's a dumb entrance, you know. So the match, so much stuff happened. At one point, Wheeler hit Fenix with the Triple A belt. They did a really good brainbuster. Basically the thing about this match to me was it was really good, and it built to this big, huge spot, which in my opinion, like a climax, which in my opinion was when the guy, I think it was Hardwood, I can't remember which one, but Hardwood went for the Three Amigos, and then Penta got the Three Amigos on him, and then Fenix hit the Frog Splash right after that, and to me, that was the end of the match, but he kicked out. And then they worked for like 5 more minutes. And it's not like the last 5 minutes was bad. It's just it's a real ECW moment where you hit something that is clearly the finish and you should go home, but then you do a bunch more spots and angles and stuff, and it's fine. But like, that should have been it, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is why I'm going, because this was the start of, like, you know, some of the crack showing in the AEW booking, because they, like, fine match. I love the match. It's very good. Like, I don't know if people should necessarily go out of their way to see it.
Right. I agree.
But, like, yeah, we should have went home on the feel-good spot. Instead, we get Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood going under the ring for a long time.
Yep.
And then, you know, Dax Harwood was the legal man.
Right.
But we saw Cash Wheeler come out with the mask, mask, you know, do some twin magic. All right, that is a fun rib to do in wrestling, especially AAA wrestling, because, like, you know, you had Invader #1 and Invader #2 in the 70s doing,
or the Bellas.
Just stop that. Stop.
Sure.
You know, then it got up to Invader #3 and Invader #4, and they stabbed Bruiser Brody. And anyway,
stop. Can't we just talk about pioneers of the women's revolution, the Bella twins? Come on now.
God, fucking
anyway, but yes, it's a TV match angle, in my opinion. It's not it's too clunky.
Absolutely, like. Yeah. So I was willing to overlook their first encounter because of the Super Rana's gimmick.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was funny. It was weird. And, you know, like, it served a purpose of getting the AAA belts onto FTR. And I hope they're being received very well as heels down there.
Sure.
But this one, I'm not sure what it drives towards, because like, you know, Cash Wheeler with the mask, like, he eats a couple of series of moves, and then finally they hit the finish and the Lucha Brothers win. Now this gives FTR a chance to be like, you didn't pin the legal man.
Yes.
But at the same time, I feel like AEW crowds would buy a rematch as far as far better than something screwy like that by just going, we tore the house down and we'd like to see it again.
Yeah.
I think that would go over much more with an AEW crowd than like there was a screwy finish and you didn't pin the legal man, which if you were in attendance, I don't know if you could have really noticed it because it would have been very hard to see Cash Wheeler's hair coming out of the back if you were in attendance.
Totally. To me, I agree with all that. To me, it says like, we need to have another match. This is the beginning of a feud, which is great. I want them to feud. But the question is, because logistically to me, what it says is, y'all keep trying the shenanigans, even though you say that you're the better wrestlers. So no shenanigans. But unfortunately to me, that usually means a cage match, which they just did. And you can't do it again.
Cannot do that.
And tag matches in the cage are wonky most of the time anyway, so that's not the answer. So then the question is, like, what do you do, like, to enforce the fact that no shenanigans? Because that's the point, is they keep trying to pull. Well, they also lost, so actually it would be on FTR to be like, okay, this time this is different, which is kind of difficult in the case that they're doing shenanigans.
Oh, I've got it. I know what they can do.
Sure.
Tully Blanchard. Get this.
Okay.
Shark cage.
Okay.
That's fun, right? That's fun. We all love that, right?
No. See, they could do that, but what they could do is mask for mask. Which it would be funny because, I mean, well, the one thing about that is, I think that creates a scenario where you know so definitively that FTR has to lose that it puts the doubt in your mind. Like, if it's such a 100% angle that they have to lose, what if the Lucha Bros lose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a lot. I don't think they'll do it.
That's digging in the hat way too hard.
I agree. So hopefully they come up with something, because I do think they should continue to feud, and mainly I don't think the shenanigans were super necessary for that to take place. I agree with you.
No. Also, I would just like to see the Lucha Brothers wrestle more. Because unfortunately they won the championships and they have had 2 matches, I think, in the 2.5 months.
Uh-huh.
Now, granted, we did find out from the commentary team that, Fenix got injured again during the cage match.
That's not surprising, though. I had expected all those guys to be injured in that fucking match. Like, take a fucking month off, for Christ's sake. I thought, even if they weren't injured, I thought they should have taken a month off. Just, like, don't do anything. You guys just murdered each other in the ring on paper.
I mean, for the Young Bucks credit, like, they did take 2 weeks off. Mm-hmm. They were, like, on camera, but they didn't wrestle. And then, the Lucha Brothers, this is another thing, though, that I think AEW should focus on.
Yeah.
Is even if some of your main characters aren't there, there needs to be a cool hype up package or something reminding you that they're there.
Totally.
Like, the Lucha Brothers had this to say to the entire tag team division, and
yeah, do like the old school, like pre-recorded promos and stuff, like just random, they can be like 30 seconds. They don't even have to be long. Yeah.
30 seconds. Just be like, so Sammy Guevara wasn't, scheduled to wrestle to defend the TNT championship, but he had this to say to the people wanting his title.
Yeah. I think that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that should be every week. And that's how you get people over and like used to talking. Be like, Dante, you have 30 seconds. Here you go.
Yeah. So, so this match, I thought it was really good. I think it's, the beginning of something great, but it's not quite there yet. I'd probably go like 3 3/4. It's almost 4, but the ending kind of, it didn't really sour it. It just wasn't where I thought it should have been. But it was still very good.
We had a good angle going in. Then the strange false finish.
Yes.
For just a false finish's sake, and then the shenanigans, it really soured me. And like the crowd started to like kind of die down because the Lucha Brothers win, and like this is the tag team, and the crowd just kind of goes, yay.
That's the next thing I want to talk about, but after what you think of the match.
Yeah. I only gave it 3 stars.
Okay.
I don't think it is required viewing.
I don't either, but the work was great. Like if you watched it, you'd probably be like, "Wow, great match." Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now it was at this point that I like started to go,
Right. Okay. And this is where I would like to bring up what I'm pretty sure you're going to say about. So the next match was Bryan Danielson versus Miro in the World Title Eliminator Tournament Final. Now, here's the thing. The crowd was very audibly deader at this point. And it's not that they were dead-er. It was very clear there were contingents of the crowd trying. But you could tell also the wrestlers were trying to get the crowd into it, and to some effect. But I think there's a number of causes to this. And also, to me, I watched enough COVID shows where if the crowd's a little dead, it doesn't hurt the show too bad to me. It's not great, but like,
no.
If I'm watching fucking Bryan Danielson versus Miro have a fight, I don't give a shit if there's nobody in the arena. I'm really like, oh fuck, yes, they're killing each other, So, but I think it's a confluence of factors. First of all, 2 very hot matches really, I mean, even the women's opener was pretty hot. So, especially the first match, I almost feel like this should have been switched with MJF versus Darby. I think this should have opened. And I think that would have fixed a lot of this, because seeing Bryan Danielson and Miro come out right at the beginning, popping the crowd a little bit with Bryan, having them have a workmanlike match, building up to the MJF and Darby, which is a hotter angle in my opinion, because I feel like this was more of a foregone conclusion. That's kind of part of it. I think the other problem is that people love Bryan Danielson and people love Miro. And it's not like in the sense that people love CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. It's in the sense that they don't really want either of these guys to lose this match due to the stakes. So then it becomes difficult to really get into cheering for one guy, because it's almost like I want both of these guys to have a title shot. This is really difficult. I also think I love Miro, and every Danielson match has had styles clashes, but this styles clash is in a way, it's good, but it's in a way that is less hype for a pay-per-view crowd to me.
Yeah. So here's my... Of Danielson's matches that he has had coming back, this is his second weakest.
I agree.
His weakest being, Solo. Nothing against Aaron Solo. I like him. But there was no heat, no fire, and Solo, I can't tell if he is a black hole of charisma or if being near QT Marshall is the black hole and he's just getting residual negative heat off of it.
Right.
But I think one problem with the show was pacing. And
yes.
You absolutely talked about it a few seconds ago. Because, if this had been the starter, I could have forgiven a lot of it. But this honestly felt like a cool down match. They intentionally went out there with the idea of cool down. And also, I don't know what is up with Miro. But in this match, Miro in his previous TNT matches, he had a personality. He was like, I am the Redeemer. I'm going to destroy. And in this, Miro honestly wrestled like a face for most of it.
Yes.
And it threw me off because not that Miro can't be a face, but I'm like, this doesn't fit into your story at all. You should be trying to kill Bryan Danielson for the glory of your God. Like, it felt like granted, because of this was originally supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, which would have been insane.
Yeah.
But, with Miro being thrown in, I thought that he could slot in pretty good and pretty seamlessly, but I was wrong.
I agree and I disagree at the same time. I agree with some of it. So the main thing is he definitely worked like a face. In the sense that it and this is kind of the same way Eddie worked against Bryan, it's like, because Bryan is basically like a fucking machine. He's just a wrestling machine. And so if you wrestle him, it's like you're fighting against a fucking well-oiled, efficient machine, and you have to, you can't stop or give up. You have no choice. So, the thing about the match is I felt it was like a WWE, it was like a very good WWE match. And usually in very good WWE matches, what happens is you start and the first 5 minutes, we're just laying the groundwork. It's not anything crazy. Maybe there's a few spots here and there, but it's just what it is. And then it slowly ramps up until by the end it's like, okay, crazy. Everybody's kicking out everything. Everybody's doing everything they can. And that's how this felt. But the thing is Miro, I felt like the story Miro was telling here was that his God gave him another chance. And he was against really bad odds, honestly, because he wasn't even in the tournament, and Danielson has already proved that he's basically a monster. So towards the end, it was like he just can't give up. He has to fucking do everything he can to fight back, and that's a babyface thing 100%. I agree.
The thing is, the last 5 minutes, the last half of the match,
yes.
I had no problem with how Miro was wrestling.
Totally. I agree with you. It turned me around at the end, but at the beginning it was a little strange. Yes.
Well, he wrestled different at the end. He wasn't wrestling as a face. He began wrestling as a monster.
Yes.
He began wrestling as, no, kick me. My God protects me. And he should have been monstrous from the start. There was a complete disconnect. It was like watching two matches.
I agree with you, and I think the reason is because the beginning was so base level, like the WWE thing, where the first 5, I feel like that kind of killed the first half of the match. Because if he would have just came out and said and worked like he did at the last half, or at least partially like that, it would have been a classic. But it took a while to get there. Maybe they just haven't wrestled in a while. They have to get, I don't know. But I agree with you.
Miro is kind of injured right now. So
that makes sense too, because he got slotted in here. I kind of, honestly, before the show, kind of wanted Miro to win. Because I expected Paige to win. And I thought Paige versus Miro is a lot more interesting than... I mean, Paige versus Danielson is interesting, don't get me wrong. But
I don't want to see them fight just yet. Maybe they can turn me around on it, but I don't want Paige's very first title defense to be against a returning and, conquering Daniel Bryan.
I think it's fine if he beats Bryan, but also that's a lot. It's still a lot of pressure on that match for me. I would rather, I think Miro is a good thing for that. And if Miro loses, he has more angle to cut, But anyway, this match, honestly, I thought it was good. Work was good. It's mainly just the first half took a while to get where it went, and the crowd were into it, but you could tell like there's like a hesitancy to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really hurt it.
This is whenever I started noticing that, like, on the hard cam, it was just a whole bunch of, like, Midwestern children of the corn looking motherfuckers with their arms crossed, just kind of staring at the show.
Yeah. Having gone to a show, because I did interrupt you while you were talking about this last night. I apologize. But, like, because you are correct, and the thing that I noticed when I went to the New York show, although they were a little more lively, the people on the hard cam, I mean, I should have already known this, but they pay the most money.
Yeah.
So most of them are assholes. Like,
yeah, most of them are. See, that's the thing. Like, we had a little bit of trouble, figuring out who the Wild Pegasus was last week. Oh,
it's
I got
this
one
guy
this week.
Now,
I got one, motherfucker.
He was next to Brock Lesnar fan as well, who was also fucking there. All the fucking dicks are in the front row, being shitheads, and
go to WWE where you fucking belong.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking anyway. But yes, it's all people sitting there, and they noticeably got more into the Punk and Kingston match. But we'll get to that later. But this match, I didn't hate it, and I felt like it really turned around in the last half. But as far as I agree, as far as Danielson's,
it honestly felt like a last-minute swap-in placeholder match,
which is what it was. It was Bryan Danielson. He doesn't have bad matches, but it was his second lowest ranked match he's had since he came in. I agree with that. The finish, there was a lot to it. Don't get me wrong. There were some great spots. Towards the end, they were like, once they started like gouging each other's eyes, he kept going for the label lock, couldn't get it. Just the forearms and the elbows. He laid in some stiff elbows on Miro. The guillotine, the triangle, all that stuff. He got him. He knocked him out with a guillotine after a spinning DDT, which was a little clumsy, but I'm fine with it. So Bryan wins, number one contender. I thought it was good. I'd actually still go. I'd still go 3.7, 3 3/4. Now that's a little crazy because the first half was like not a lot, but the thing is like, I think if you muted the show, I just can't take, like, it's really bad, but if Bryan Danielson has a match and he's working, I can't really fault it. The dude's just murdering somebody. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? It makes sense to me. Yeah.
Like, it's one of those where the first half, like, it felt like I was watching two matches happen.
Yes.
And I'm still trying to figure out like what exactly was going on, but yeah, the crowd died a little bit for it. They got better. The end was abrupt, and that was another thing that like kind of,
hurt a little
got
bit
to me.
Yeah.
Because like the spin out DDT was an interesting move that I haven't seen before, but it was very obvious that no one knew what to do.
Yes.
As far as like positioning.
Yes, I agree.
I don't fault them for trying new things, but and then like Bryan winning, it's interesting. Like, I'm interested in how it plays into the main story going forward. But overall, it felt like a placeholder match, so I just gave it 3 stars.
That's fine.
Unfortunately.
Round it down. It's fine. Now, something I do want to say at this point in the show, and something I appreciate AEW for immensely, is we've had 3 matches. The first one was 22 minutes. The second one was 19 minutes. The third one was 20 minutes. Even, by the way, all of them. Thank you for, like, fucking having fucking matches on a pay-per-view that have time. Like, fuck's sake. Like, and it's nobody's going under 15. Like, it just helps so much to let them tell stories in the ring, especially when you don't have commercial breaks, so you can give them all that time to get something across. Like,
yeah,
I just, and also, like, they have stacked cards and they still only go 4 hours. Like, and they give everybody time. They're just so good with time management. I do agree, like, maybe, like, match ordering, I would change a little bit. But,
I think that if you swapped a few matches around and changed the pacing a little bit, this would have gone down a lot better in my brain.
Yes.
Because, like, I agree that swap the Miro and Danielson match should have been the opener. And then put Darby and MJF right there, get the crowd used to being there. Because that's the thing, like, whenever the crowd is cold, you want a hot opener. But, the crowd's, like, getting used to it, and they're trying to pace themselves and figure it out, because you've been there. Like, remember, I kept telling you need to pace yourself.
Yeah,
and you were like, I'll be fine. And then,
I was fine. Jenny was not.
But still, like, an hour and a half into it, you're going, shit, I just worked out or something. Fuck.
Judas blew me up, unfortunately, but luckily it happened towards the end of the show. But yeah, I agree. And the other thing is, because the next match, we're not getting into it yet, but the next match was Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks with Cutler and Nakazawa on a Falls Count Anywhere. So I feel like if MJF and Darby, the wrestling feud match was right before that, it's great because you have this big, awesome, climactic heel wins match, and then you're like, okay, we do like a street fight. We do a more fun, goofy match right after that, without stakes. Like, I think that would be
absolutely, yeah. I question the pacing, because like, All Out, undoubtedly, like, I've had like 2 months to sit on it. It is the best wrestling pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. I can say that without any, like, anything shading it. And the pacing in that show was immaculate.
Sure. I haven't decided if this is better or worse yet because I haven't had enough time. It's pretty close for me, to be honest. But I let the crowd decide. I can understand if somebody, like, if that affects what you think of the show. I think, you know what? What was the women's match? Was it Ruby? No, Ruby debuted. So they had the Battle Royal.
The Battle Royal, yeah.
That was the only women's match of that show? Britt didn't defend?
Britt defended against...
Chris Stat is who she fought.
No, Chris Stat, yeah.
Okay, so... Okay. I will say... Yeah, okay. It's hard. It's really hard because here's the thing. I think that show individually had one match. It had one match that was like, one of the best tag team matches, like literally, possibly the best tag team match I've ever seen in my whole life. And then it had a great main event. And then it had a lot of like solid, like 4-star matches. Miro and Eddie, Chris Jericho, MJF, Punk and Allen, all solid 4-star matches. The thing I will say in this show's defense is I thought MJF and Darby was very, very close to 5 stars, and it was an instant classic. And then I mean, we'll get to the main event, but you can probably guess what I thought about that. And then a lot of the other matches on the show, I thought were very, very good. And I only really think, honestly, I don't really think there was a bad match on this show. Even really like a less than 3-star match. Or like we'll get there. But mainly, like, I will say on All Out, Paul White with QT Marshall was kind of a waste of my time. Like, it was fine for what it was, but it was pointless.
By that point, like, I was dead by that point. Like, watching at home, I was dead, and I was like, we were all begging for the match. Not because we necessarily wanted to see it, but because we wanted to go, oh, we can pee. We can go pee. Oh, thank
God. but in that case, you might as well have like an intermission or a commercial break. All I'm saying is, like, on paper, I think I like this show more, but only on paper. Like, actually watching it, I think for the overall experience, I'd probably rather watch All Out again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because of the way it's paced but match quality wise, I think this was the better show overall. Now, sorry. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, the street fight. So, man, these guys have had a lot of... They've perfected this by now, I feel, because they've had a lot of wacky, all kinds of spots, fun, goofy things, but also crazy bumps matches. They've had a lot of these, like triple threats. So, I mean, I feel like it was kind of the case where I was like, they started this match, and I'm like, what story are they even going to tell? Because I feel like they've already tread this ground a number of times. Although I'm excited because it'll be fun, you know?
Yeah.
And the story of this match was Jungle Boy needs to learn how to murder someone to be a jungle man. His dad has to teach him how to do a murder.
Yeah, it was like literally watching the wrestling equivalent of the yearling. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you got to take your Adam Cole out into the back and finish him off.
Now, I mean, speaking of on paper versus reality, I do think on paper it sounds very, very stupid and ridiculous. But watching it, it made a stupid kind of wrestling sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
yeah.
I like, my one complaint with this match was just, we have seen, the Elite / the Super Click, fight, the Jurassic Express and Christian many times at this point.
Yes.
And I want to say, like, I'm not sick of the feud yet, but I am done with it.
It's reaching Usos versus New Day territory. Okay.
Yeah, where, like, the first 6 times it's very good.
Yes.
But you're, like, looking down the road and you're going, man, if they do this a 7th time, I don't know if I can muster it up.
I think this should be the last. This and you know what? It was paid off. Mm-hmm. And set off as that's it. You know,
the entire story was Jungle Boy needs to become a jungle man, and he needs to add that edge to his character. He needs to become a killer. Which, if you listen to the commentary from both Shivani and JR, that's what they've been saying for a year now. Is they're like, I love Jungle Jack. He's doing great. He just needs to add just a little bit of viciousness to his arsenal, a little bit of an edge.
But even non-kayfabe, I agree with that, because I feel like he was a little white meat and quiet. And since they started this feud, he did the snare trap with the chair on Cutler, and he put the spray in his face. He's been more like aggressive, and I think it's added so much to his character.
Yeah. It absolutely has. Nothing is wrong with this match. Like I said, I hope this ends it.
Yes.
Which I think it does, just because of stuff that happens later on.
Totally.
But super fun match. Holy shit.
Great table spots. There was a point where Matt Jackson just dropped a Macho Man elbow through Luchasaurus through this table, and it was beautiful. A lot of props from me to Christian, who I just would not expect this man to work so hard in the year 2021. Like, I know his slogan is outwork everyone, but I don't see him wrestle that often. But once he does, this man just does not stop. He doesn't stop. He wrestles like he's 23. I mean, like, it's insane.
That was the thing. I was worried that Christian is kind of the odd man out in this entire thing.
I agree, yeah.
But, like, he was there to, like, literally lend moral and, like, mentor support the entire time, because if there was a save that needed to be happened, it was Christian who did it. I don't know if you noticed that, but like, you know, he saved Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy from like some spots, and that's because he's the veteran. He's the wily, you know, like he's seen every trick in the book. And that lended a lot to the story, because you could look at this and go, yeah, this is a spot fest. But we actually got a lot of story out of it.
Totally. A lot of, and some of the spots like were crazier than it was. It was basically like they do all the classics, but do them crazier than normal. They did the running in the ring and kissing Adam Cole while he's got him in the clutch thing, but they put thumbtacks in Jungle Boy's mouth, which flew out of his mouth when they did the knees, which was like, Jesus Christ.
And like Jungle Boy sitting there writhing in pain with a visible mouth of thumbtacks. Like, I've seen the thumbtack spot a lot.
Yeah.
Because I watch garbage wrestling as a guilty pleasure sometimes. And a lot of the time, you can tell the people like are cupping their hand and like it's not going in their
bullshit. Mouth. Yep. But you could see them.
And that's fine. I don't begrudge these people, but
totally.
Like Jungle Man here straight up was like, nah, give me the thumbtacks. Give me the kick to the face. Let's do it.
Yeah. Christian hit a splash off the balcony in the crowd.
Oh yeah, fucking channeling New Jack, baby.
Wow, there was even a point. There was like a 2-level balcony. Like he could have just jumped off the stairwell and he looked at it, and then he looked up at the balcony like, nope, I'm doing that one. And I was like, okay, dude. Like on the concrete. He got caught very well, thank God.
Yeah.
Probably I think the biggest spot of the match for me was the Luchasaurus did a shooting star press off the stage onto the super click, which was just absolutely gorgeous. And the match ended when Christian set up the concerto on Adam Cole. Oh no, Matt Jackson actually, not Adam Cole.
Matt Jackson.
That's interesting. Yeah. And Jungle Boy, he basically let Jungle Boy do it. He's like, do it. You need to kill him. So he did.
You don't want to be a dweebazoid, do you? Kill that man.
Yeah. It was a long match, but the thing is like, the thing about
boy, I'm going to need you to hold for your 5-second mug shot.
Yeah. It was a little long, but the thing I will say is like, anytime, and I was thinking about this probably like the last few weeks, anytime the Young Bucks have a match, it just doesn't stop. Like, it just goes, and it's not like an ECW spot fest. It's just like somehow everybody is always in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing that is supposed to happen in the match. And it just does that for apparently 22 minutes and 20 seconds. I don't know how the fuck you do that. I still don't know how they did the all-out cage match, a tag team match in a cage without tags. That just... nobody was ever
like a tag match.
And nobody was just standing around or selling the entire time. You know what I mean? Like people can't even have triangle matches without it being fucked up, because triple threats, because somebody just falls out of the ring, because it's like, I don't know what to do with 3 people in a ring. Like, it's weird.
Like everyone was in place like they needed to be at all times. Junior, Pay attention. But, hey, we got there, and we got to see Jungle Boy become a jungle man and kill the yearling.
Mm-hmm.
He now has venison to eat for the winter, and everything's good.
Yeah. Also, honorable mention or bonus points, brownie points. Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa, y'all are
amazing.
kings of the catch. You caught two people doing crazy spots in this match, and I have never seen such textbook catches. Like, those guys took 0 damage from those flips. Like, they just landed safely on the floor. So props to y'all. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was 22 minutes, but I enjoyed all of it, so it's fine.
Yeah, there was so much going on. You were always given something interesting and fun to look at. 4 stars, baby.
Yes, awesome. So, after this is what I think is the most, and this is my own word choice. I think this is the most interesting match on the card. I don't know if that's good or bad, but Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo in a tag match. No, nothing on the line. Now, the thing about this, first of all, okay, the intros. Andrade comes out, looks cool. Malachi comes out, he's always cool. It also Malachi coming out is still like, it's maybe 2 minutes. It's not that big of it. I mean, it's cool, but it's only 2 minutes. Pat comes out. He's awesome, obviously. And Cody.
He does need new music, though, I will say.
I do think that's the case, yes. I think Pat, he needs a new Titantron, too. He needs like a little bit of a revamp. But like, as far as him personally playing the character, just keep doing what you're doing.
No notes.
Yeah. Now, Cody's big stupid intro starts with the fucking shit on the Titantron, and you just hear boo boo, and then it does that. There's only one royal family thing, like, and we talked about this while we were watching the show. Cut this dude's intro. Fuck all this shit. He comes up through the ground in his stupid American military costume, and he walks slowly to the ring. Arn comes out, and everybody loves Arn, and they introduce Arn. That's fine, but then like they start playing the actual good part of the song 2 minutes after the intro started, and it's just like the fucking Undertaker. Like, calm down. You want this guy to be a face? Have his music play, and I mean, just go into the dan and then everybody goes, okay, cool, it's Cody, and then he walks out or runs out, and then he gets in the ring. Like, all this pomp is such bullshit, and nobody likes it, other than little kids that watch WWE. I don't know. What do you think? But that's your call. But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think his start should just be, wrestling has more than one royal family, and then boom, hit the music, and he comes out.
It's
the whole
fine.
Him coming up from the ground.
No.
Who cares? Like, I have the feeling that like they originally paid for the hydraulics and everything to like do that at the second pay-per-view that they did.
Yeah.
And that one had the air of pomp and circumstances. That was whenever he faced Dustin, and they
that's different.
Did the throne thing with the sledgehammer.
I'm really glad they didn't buy 100 plastic thrones and he breaks one at the beginning of every match. But yes.
I think they just had the hydraulics and were like, well, we can't not use them. And that's just what's made Cody do that this entire time. That and his arrogance. So okay, I'm of several minds about this.
Same.
Like, one, let's talk Cody himself for just a moment.
Okay.
So he cut the promo of "I Will Not Turn," which I will admit got me intrigued because it's like, okay, I like this. I do. It's very interesting. What will Cody do? And I thought that we were going to see Cody do like more and more interesting things that are like still on the face dynamic, but still kind of heelish. But instead, what we have gotten is literally Cody begging to be cheered.
Yes.
And it sucks ass so fucking much.
Here's
he is literally out there. He might as well have like a t-shirt gun and like
the Rock's flamethrower from WrestleMania. Yeah,
a squirt gun filled with tequila to like bribe people.
Free beer if you cheer for me.
If you cheer for Cody, I will give you beer. I don't care how old you are. Please, dear God, cheer for me. It feels pathetic.
Okay. I do agree, but here's the thing. Because you are
dimensional chess, baby.
You are correct that the past month, at least, the angle has been Cody will not turn. He knows people are booing him, but he's a good person. And you know what? I can respect that. I really can. I can I think it's not a bad, even from a non-shoot perspective, I think it's not a bad angle that somebody doesn't just turn heel because the crowd boos them. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a nice little subversion of wrestling logic. But
yeah,
and
which is interesting.
Yes, and I will also say the past few the angle has been okay, Cody's not going to turn, like booking wise. So, what can we do like to not make him booed so hard? I don't even think it's like necessarily get him cheered. I think it's just like, how can we continue to subvert this?
How can we mitigate the boos?
Yes. So it's been like, surround him and just fucking mire this dude with heels. Just heels all over the fucking place. All the time. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of been working. At least on me. Now, I'm not going to cheer the dude yet. But I don't hate him as much as I did, because the intro still sucks. But when he works,
it's a heel intro.
The intro needs to be changed. This is the main sore point I have with the whole thing. But when he works in the ring, I know they boo him, but I actually I kind of come around a little bit each time, because he's doing more of he does the dusty elbows. He gets heat on him, and then he makes comebacks, and it's not like bullshit like I do one move and make my own comeback and beat up all the heels. It makes sense in the match, like, to me. Now, I still think it would be easier to just turn him heel, but like, they're not gonna do it. So I think their way of getting around it isn't bad. However, the reason this match was so interesting to me is that there was one, what's the word? There was one consensual tag in this match. And this was a tag match with so many tags, and literally 99% of them were blind tags. It was people just being like, I want to be in the ring now.
Me.
And
which is interesting and stuff.
It was almost baffling. Like, I was like, this is the strangest idea.
It was strange in a way that, like, I get it, and I feel like it was a very cool idea, because also this is kind of ribbing, the whole WWE thing on, like, how will they coexist?
Yes.
Because apparently they've been playing that storyline out like 5-10 times this year.
Right.
And so it's like kind of a rib on that, where they did all all teams did kind of coexist.
Right.
And so it's interesting, but here's my big problem.
I might agree with this. Yes, go ahead.
I would have absolutely been into this if this had happened on Wednesday.
I agree. Yes. The way I saw this match was, and honestly, a lot of the Cody stuff that they've been doing is, let's do some fucking experiments. Let's get in the lab and do some wrestling logic fucking science and try to figure out new and interesting subversions of the genre, which is great. But the problem with that is this is a pay-per-view match that you've been supposed to have been building up to. And the best thing I can say about it is, from a pay-per-view aspect and an angles aspect, is Pac and Andrade got on the show. Thank God. But
yeah, but like,
it didn't answer any questions, like,
even with Pac and Andrade, I want them to separate for a while.
Correct. Yes.
I don't want to see them, because so here's another problem that I had, which was Pac and Andrade have like legitimately built like heat, kayfabe heat with one another.
Yes.
And their two matches, like the first one was very good. The second one got really intense.
And was awesome, yeah.
But you can tell that they still have a fourth gear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they still have another gear that they can hit.
Yep.
And so I would have loved for them to back off on that for a little while. And then, like, when one of them achieves like success of a certain degree, then here comes the other knocking. Hey, you've forgotten about me.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Amazing. The problem with this match is it puts them in here, and there was no heat that was really built towards it. It cooled that angle off.
Correct.
All to push Cody Rhodes in this weird direction that I don't necessarily hate, but I regret that a slot on the pay-per-view was filled up with this. Like,
okay,
who I would have loved to have seen in a pay-per-view match that could build a star and like build towards something? Dante.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This should have been an up-and-comer Dante match.
I think you could have done like, they wouldn't have done this because Fuego wouldn't be on the main show, but you could have done Too Fast, Too Fuego against Dante and Leo, or Dante and Matt, or Dante and anybody. Like, who did he team up with? I think it was just Leo last. But like, yeah, like you could do something like that, and I think it would be a great little fun match. Now, the thing is then none of these guys would get a payday or be on the show. And the thing is I agree, but I also I didn't feel like the objective of this was to push Cody. And in a sense, I don't feel like a lot of the Cody stuff is to push Cody. Like I said, I feel like they're trying to figure out what to do. It's like an experiment. Now, the problem with that is I think it's interesting, but you should probably leave your experiments on TV. Like,
it turns into...
Or the pre-show. Just do this on the pre-show.
This should have been on the pre-show.
100%.
It no matter what their intentions were and what they were trying to do, this felt like a placeholder.
Yes, exactly. Now,
and instead of like keeping the feud of Pac and Andrade on simmer, I feel like they turned the fucking gas off.
Agreed. Now, the work was still really good, as we're always saying, for this show. Pac, obviously amazing. I don't think Pac can have a non-work where this man is just insane. I'm going to be generous, mainly because it wasn't great at all, but I found it fascinating in a
train wreck kind of way.
It's not a train wreck, because I really didn't think it was that bad. It was just odd. I will give it 3.25. It's still not anything approaching 4 stars or go out of your way to see it. But if you like little oddities and you like, obviously, Pac and Andrade being in there helped it out a lot. Outside of that, it's something, I guess. It wasn't that great.
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
Once again, I would be much more into this if this happened on Wednesday.
Totally.
And so for me, even though the work rate is good, it still felt like we were doing blind tags just so that, when enough people got when someone got enough blind tags, they were then able to do their cool spot.
I thought they were going for world record and blind tags. Yes. That's just what it felt like.
It's like you have to get, Andrade had to get 4 blind tags in order to fill up his meter enough to do his split-legged moonsault.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is 2 stars for me.
Okay.
It's so weird and so strange, and maybe I could be proven wrong. I would love to be 2 weeks from now go, okay, now that match made sense. Right now, 2.
So, the next match. Britt Baker fought Ty Conti. I have the notes here, sorry. Yeah. Britt Baker versus Ty Conti for the AEW Women's World Title.
We talked around this match, at the very beginning.
Yes.
I think we kind of got out most of what we wanted to say, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I'll go over it very briefly. Conti came out with the Brazilian flag and some awesome eye makeup. I liked her entrance more than I like her typical entrance. I will say for myself, I'm not a big fan of bubbly Ty Conti. I think she should be a badass.
That's the thing, like midway through her matches, she gets that edge. She gets that like viciousness.
I wish she was more like, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I would rather see that happen from the get-go.
Yeah, I wish she was more like Asuka, honestly, where Asuka is cutesy, but she's in a sly way where she could kill you.
Yeah.
I think Ty could play into that a bit more.
And then also, I mean, with Ty's eye makeup the way it is, she was absolutely chomping on some Asuka flavor.
Totally.
And I was not mad at it at all.
No.
She looked like a fucking Valkyrie badass.
Yeah, what did suck was Britt coming out to Fozzy guitarist.
Baffling. Absolutely baffling.
They just didn't know what to do for a special entrance, so they said that was the last thing on the list. So they're like, I guess we'll do this. It's fine. It's whatever. So the thing with this match, it wasn't bad. It was fine. I thought Ty's story was great. In the case of she tried everything. Britt couldn't get the lockjaw in because Ty had scouted that out, and they built a lot of stuff. It's mainly just the build didn't help, and that's really the story of it. It wasn't believable that Ty could win. At all.
This felt like a good main event on Rampage.
Exactly. And there wasn't much outside of that to it. Ty hit a Gotch pile driver, which was awesome. And she deliberately did it for Suzuki because she tweeted it later. So she's awesome. She has some great pump kicks. I liked her. I almost feel like Britt shouldn't have kicked out from the DD Ty. I feel like she should have kicked out from the Ty KO. The DD Ty, she could have got the ropes or got her foot on the ropes or something. She
should have got the ropes, yeah.
Yeah, her kicking out, Ty's already not, it wasn't believable she was winning, so it really doesn't help if Britt kicks out of her finisher.
I would have even, what would have popped the crowd and actually put a lot of people more on Ty Conti's side is if Jamie Hayter drug the referee out and interrupted the count. That would have actually built heat, and then there would be a reason for Ty Conti to be mad at Britt Baker. As it stands, there was a little bit of distraction from, the goobers outside, but Ty doesn't have a reason to be mad, kayfabe wise, because she got beat fairly clean.
Yeah. Well, also, I will say it's a case of giving Ty motivation, but then the problem with the fans is if you see distractions on a pay-per-view, it becomes very frustrating. It becomes like, really, this shit's gonna play into the match? Like, I can get that, but I know what you mean. I just think Ty I think she should have been put over a little stronger. Like, in terms of her finisher shouldn't have been kicked out of. Britt should have been much more desperate and trying. Again, she's a heel. She should be trying really hard to cheat and get other things to happen. I mean, you don't have to have distractions, but she should be running out of the ring and, distracting the ref herself and kicking her, stuff like that,
So here's the thing with Britt Baker, the longer it goes on, I don't think they quite know what to do with her.
I don't think so either. I think she's a star, but as far as face heel dynamic, they need an angle.
They're too interested in making her look cool all the time to do the heelish things she needs to do in order to get actual heat, because otherwise this is Triple H Reign of Terror, where if you remember during the first bit of the Reign of Terror, Triple H just beat people clean.
Yeah.
All the fucking time.
Yes. And I think the way things have been booked, they need to just turn her face and split her off from Hayter. You know what? She could fight Hayter. They can have a big blow off where Hayter, I don't know, heals out on them or something. I don't know how they do. It doesn't matter what they do. They could have her fight Deeb. They could have her fight Nyla. It doesn't matter, but just have her turn face. Because if she's not going to work heel, just fucking, and she's over anyway, just turn her. It doesn't make any sense.
Because they keep doing these half measures with her, and it doesn't work. Just turn her. You don't even have to change her character. Just literally, instead of fighting faces, she just starts fighting heels. And it works. It's done.
Yeah.
Because she can still sit there and be like, oh, you're just jealous that I'm on top because I am the DMD, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm a hard ass. It works fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. And it's and then if she starts fighting heels, then Bert, we could get Britt versus Deeb.
Sure, I would love that. And then Deeb wins, and she's and then she gets a shot at the AEW World Championship, of course, and then she wins that. That's how I would book it. But but
Deeb goes on to beat Hangman at Revolution.
I would love it. I know nobody else would, but I would. But
they're really playing to the Burt demographic.
Yes, exactly. You could have all of my $20 is what you could have. The thing is, Ty tried really hard. I thought Britt is good. It just wasn't the right booking.
Yeah.
I give it 2.5. I know people will be upset with that or give it higher, and I understand. But to me, it didn't have that much to it.
Yeah, there wasn't much juice to it. For me, I'm a big fan of Ty Conti. I appreciate what they did. It's 3 stars, which, for me, it's a fine match.
It was fine. Yeah. I think 2.5 it's average to me, which is totally, I mean, I think Ty's hard work was kind of balanced out by the booking, so it came out it was fine. Now, CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston.
Thank fucking God.
Okay.
So by this point in the show, I was kind of bummed, if I'm not going to lie, because we had some fair to midland stuff, some good stuff, and then the last couple of bits, the screwiness with, the
Pac and Andrade and
Pac and Andrade, that really killed me. At this point, I wasn't blaming the crowd for looking like, the Children of the Corn weirdos that they are.
Yeah.
And then this one, like, it's not bad, but it absolutely felt like a Rampage main event.
You mean Ty and Britt?
Yeah, Ty and
yeah,
Britt.
Yeah.
What did I say?
This one, I just thought you meant. I didn't know which one you meant. But yeah, I got you.
But here comes Edward Kingston.
Here comes a special boy.
Here comes a special boy.
Okay.
Here comes Edward Kingston. Here comes, Charles Montgomery Punk. And
Kingston, who is that man working in?
That's Hangman Adam Page in Sector 7G.
Hangman what? We haven't had a Hangman in Springfield since 1809. Okay, so a few things about this before we get started. First of all, the angle. This is the other thing. They had all this stuff to build in like a month, and they didn't even really. This had 2 weeks build.
2 weeks, and that's
and it's the hottest fucking build. Like, it's insane. Like,
yeah. Other than Hangman and Ken,
which
Kenneth,
is like years in the making, like a year and a half or something.
2 years. Anyway, and that's the thing with pro wrestling is let your people talk. And this is what I was talking about with the women's stuff. I would even eschew matches for segments.
Yes.
Like, get your characters over, because no one cared who the better wrestler was.
Nope.
We wanted to see a personality clash. We wanted to see two people clash because they have a fundamental disagreement about the world and each other.
Yeah, there were no stakes at all. There was no stipulation. They just wanted to beat the shit out of each other, and everybody wanted to see that. Mm-hmm. The other thing, this match was the shortest match on the card at 11 minutes, and you could not really, it didn't really feel like it, because it was just nonstop. It was a war the whole time.
It was a war. There was a story every second. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how long was it into the match before Punk got busted open? Like, not long.
Not long at all. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes. But the last thing I'll say before we get into it is the reverse. Okay, so Cody has turned into a big heel. Like, not of his own volition, because he has a big, long, pompous entrance. Mm-hmm. Eddie is the biggest babyface in the company because his music plays and he stomps down to the ring looking like an insane person who doesn't give a shit if they play his music. He wants to kill CM. He doesn't even want them to play CM Punk's music. He doesn't want them to play any music.
Well, I mean, it helps that Eddie Kingston has the Castlevania rap music.
That does help. But
you hear those fucking church bells and the and it's like, oh shit, it's fucking Eddie. Yeah.
But he doesn't come up through the ground. He doesn't. No. He just comes out, storming to the ring like he's got a 1,000-yard stare. He looks absolutely insane, and it's like so much better for a face to just be all business and. I'm not fucking around. I don't need lights and conveyors and whatever the fuck. I don't need managers.
I mean, it helps for some people.
Yes.
And that's fine. But, like,
Cody doesn't need it. 100%.
Cody doesn't need it. Like, one of the most arrogant and pomp and circumstance entrances that there is, but works because of the character, is Okada.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That makes sense.
Like, he's the fucking Rainmaker. I don't know what that means, but I don't care.
He makes the money rain down.
Sure. Yeah.
No, that's his gimmick. That's why the cash comes out of the ceiling.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I love that he's Rainmaker. Yeah.
We're old. Okay, so Punk comes out. He's in the UFC trunks. He storms down to the ring. They start killing each other.
Immediately.
Punk got him a reverse mount at one point.
And Eddie start the match by giving him a Huracan before the bell rung?
Yes. Oh, that's right. He instantly gave him an Huracan. Also, during Punk's entrance, the look on Eddie's face. Oh my God. This man looked like Satan. It was like so good. But yes, he hit him with an Huracan, instantly put him down on the ground, started making insane faces. The match was instantly awesome. And they went to the floor. They went back in. They're just murdering each other. The crowd started booing Punk when he punched Kingston in the mount position, and everybody was just boo, boo. And I was like, okay, I feel like we're switching now. I feel like this is the start where we can get Punk into heel mode. And honestly, I'm ready for it. I don't think he needs to stay face for much longer.
No, it's over. It's done. And here's the thing that I am afraid of is it has seemed like here in the last little, ever since All Out, it seems like, and maybe this is just Cody's stuff, coloring my opinion, it seems like they are wedded to ideas and they're like, no, we're doing this, whether they want the crowd wants it or not, we know best.
Yes.
And I hope that Punk is listening and is like, okay, now we switch it up.
He's very savvy. I think he knows. Yeah. And he wants to turn heel. Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope that, no one is absolutely wedded to their ideas and we don't get more than one experimental Grand Funk Railroad, Rock Odyssey
I gotcha.
concept wrestling album.
Yeah, it's just The Rock says know your damn role, but it's got flangers and fucking druids chanting in the background for 20 minutes. So there was a chant. Basically, we started getting the, let's go Eddie, CM Punk, or whatever the fuck they were doing, Eddie Kingston, CM Punk, the dueling chants. And then there was a chant which I didn't know what it was at the time. I think I went, what are they saying? And you said, I think it's this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure
They were chanting both these guys, which is an excellent chant. That is very good. Yeah, both these guys. Both these guys.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
We can't choose. We can't choose.
Punk got color. Punk went into the ring post. It got busted open, which I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen CM Punk get color since the Heyman days. Kingston instantly wiped his blood on his own face. It's just crazy. Kingston took a backdrop on the floor after teasing a pile driver. It was yikes. Punk got Kingston back in and hit the fucking setup for the 5-knuckle shuffle, which the entire crowd got so mad at. And I was like, that is just next level.
Even me, I saw it and I didn't believe it for a second.
I didn't think it was happening, no.
And then, he did the fucking lift up, sit out slam. And I was like, are you fucking shitting me?
This dude's just a heat magnet. Punk just knows how to provoke people. He knows how to get the crowd to go, wait a minute, what the fuck? He knows how to do it.
And so, yeah, this is where I'm really hoping that Punk is, listening to the crowd. And I hope that Punk has a little bit of an edge where he's like, and I heard people booing. I'm working my ass off, and you're booing me?
You people.
I thought we had love together.
I thought it was unconditional, but apparently I can't do John Cena moves. That's a condition. So instead, he didn't hit the 5-knuckle shot. I think he maybe got countered, but he ended up doing the Three Amigos, and the crowd, he got them back on his side, it turns out, because it's just a joke. It's fine. he went to the top to do.
Should do it in his next match.
Oh, totally. Punk went up to do the frog splash, but Kingston got up there. They did a superplex. They were down for a while. I think he got a GTS, but he was too tired. There was a lot of like selling that they were gassed, but like they clearly weren't gassed, and I thought it was really great for the match. It's pretty rare that like a match is hot enough that guys can just be dead and the crowd's still over. You know, I think that helps a lot if you're working a match. Like, let's just lay down. You know.
He got, you know, the GTS on him, and Eddie like was one, too close to the ropes, and two, like Punk fell back against the ropes, and he had that like little bit of blood that was left over from earlier, and he's just like just drawing breath in through like just a big, you know, fucking open mouth, and it looked cool as hell, and the crowd's like, you know, you saw people out in the crowd just like, cover him, losing their shit.
Yeah. Basically, he went for the Huracan again, but missed. Punk hit a second GTS and won. You know, I think, here's the thing. I think in a perfect world, Eddie should win, but I think they should keep feuding. I think they should have like a fucking street fight or something, honestly. Like a fucking mega all out, like a 20-minute insane fight that Eddie wins. But, you know, I'm okay with Punk winning, especially with all of the possible places this can go.
See, that's the thing. Like, you know, with the addition of the wrinkles that they added during the match, like going in, I was like, Eddie needs to win this. And then by the end of it, I was like, okay, Punk won. That's fine. But they planted enough seeds to where I think if they keep going, Punk is absolutely getting booed and is absolutely has to be a heel.
Yeah.
And like one thing is like Eddie has lost his last like 4 big matches, and like, you know, the announcers and everyone are like, you know, Eddie is a flawed and somewhat broken man, and I want to see this dude like hold a championship, and I think you could run him face against Sammy Guevara.
I think that's a good idea. But also, like, I mean, long term, you can just work another Hangman angle. This man, like, I don't think Eddie should be too long term, just because of, I mean, I don't know how long he wants to keep working. It's up to him, obviously. But I will say Eddie is the master of, he has become the master of losing matches and not losing any fucking support. Like, this man could lose against Fuego and it would do nothing to him. Like, the thing is he gives 100, he gives a fucking 1,000,000% every week, no matter fucking what. It doesn't matter if it's a pay-per-view or not. This dude does not stop. So he can lose, but the crowd knows. Like, they know he's a monster. Like, you can tell. So I thought this was an excellent match. I do feel like it's the start to something. I don't know what it is, but I want to see more of it. I give it 4 1/4.
Gotcha.
It's up there, but I feel like it's not the culmination of everything yet. If it was like 30 minutes or 25 minutes and they murdered each other and Eddie won, then it's like, you know, we're talking like towards 5 stars, but it's not there yet, you know. It was great.
Well, this felt like a very good first offering.
Yes.
And like sometimes with those offerings like that, where you know that they can do more, it oftentimes leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because I feel like, okay, you intentionally went out there to kind of have,
you held back,
a mediocre match,
right?
But this time, I got everything I needed out of the match, everything I wanted, and I got more.
Yeah.
So absolutely, this for me, 4.5 stars. Like,
cool.
The storytelling that's involved with it, and Eddie is my boy. He's my dude. Like, as a man of extra carriage, I really feel for Eddie whenever he, talks about his weight issues. Like, oh, beautiful. Amazing.
Very good.
Yeah. This brought me back into the show. Because, like I said, it had been a slump at this point.
Yeah. Awesome. So before the next match, we get shown Baron von Raschke in ringside for no reason.
Hey,
it'll never come up again, but he is awesome.
Don't worry.
He does the claw. He's cool. We
cannot
both
believe he's still
alive. We both were instantly like, wait, he's alive? Okay. He looks the same.
Yeah.
Which is baffling. So the next match,
you can find a picture of him as a 9-year-old, and he just looks
the
that.
Same. Yeah. So the next match was Inner Circle: Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana, Ortiz, and Jake Hager against American Top Team and Men of the Year: Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Junior Dos Santos, Andre Arlovsky, and Dan Lambert in a Minneapolis street fight. Now, woo boy.
You said one of their names wrong.
Sorry.
Junior.
Don Lambert. Don Lambert. Okay. No, Junior. Where the fuck are you, Junior? I'm telling you, it was just a tribute to Eddie. That's all it was. Which would be the funniest possible circumstance. So
oh my God.
Something I went into this thinking this was going to be the weak link on the show. However, I still thought it would be good because Scorpio and Ethan are in it. And I thought half of each team was good. So I was like, it'll probably be good, but I don't think it'll be special. Now, 2 things I did not factor in. 1, Inner Circle has proven that they have great gimmick matches. Like, these men have had amazing gimmick matches for like a year, and I forget it every time they have another one. I don't know why. Nope. These men had a Stadium Stampede match where Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears fought in a chairs matrix room. Like, how the fuck was I going to doubt this? Like,
yeah, they were also in the very first Stadium Stampede match,
which
if you
was
remember,
amazing.
Where, like, fucking Sammy got murdered with a golf cart.
That's right. Now, I think my problem was I saw Street Fight, and I went, oh, it's a street fight. I didn't read the Minneapolis part, and I didn't think that would play into it. It's like back in the days when they're like, we're having a Mexican death match, and all that meant was we're having a death match.
Tacos at the other person.
Right. Now, so the match started. And I will say, I was very worried at the beginning because they started out having a traditional tag match, which, in my opinion, and they do this actually in all their street fights, because in the first Stadium Stampede match, they had a match in the middle of the fucking field, and they just started having a match in the ring. Well, they had a ring in the middle of the field. And they had a match in the middle of the ring for 5 minutes, which was weird. I'm not going to lie. But it's goofy in a kind of charming way where it's like, we have to do this because wrestling gods compel us to wrestle in the ring.
Yeah, it was weird, but not inexplicable.
Totally. Now, the thing that really kind of disturbed me was Scorpio took an arm drag. An arm drag. And the problem is he took it wrong. Or it was a miscommunication. And I know for a fact quite a few wrestlers have gotten severely fucked up off of botched arm drag / hip tosses. Like, it is very easy to, like, they look like silly moves, but if you take them wrong, you can hurt each other pretty bad. And Scorpio, oh, 1 second. Can you reset your camera really quick? Oh, never mind. You're just sitting still. Never mind.
I'm just like still.
Leaving that in. I thought your camera froze. Okay.
No, I'm just listening to you, bro.
Wow. Okay, but Scorpio took this arm drag and he like went sideways and fell like into Sammy's shoulder kind of and instantly like grabbed his face like with both hands. And he did it for like 5 more spots. Like he was just holding his face like, and he wasn't taking moves to his face. So I was like, oh, the dude broke his nose, fucked up his orbital. I don't know what happened. Maybe he cut his face somehow. We couldn't see. And it got to the point that Aubrey actually checked on him like twice. And then he finally got tagged out after taking a lot of heat. And you could see Ethan like talking to the dude. Like,
yeah, Junior and other dude were like, hey, are you okay, man?
Yeah, they were checking on him. Now, luckily, for the rest of the match, he worked absolutely fine. But I was very worried. He might have just... I don't know.
I think most likely he either bashed his nose into Sammy's like shoulder and,
right.
It didn't break his nose, or I'd say in the like, scrawling kerfuffle that happened, like he might have really raked his face on the mat.
Yeah.
Which that's always something that hurts a lot.
Yeah, I think that might be it. He wasn't bleeding, but I bet it sucked. It doesn't. I bet it doesn't feel good to get mat burn on your face.
Def.
So, out of the UFC boys, I think Dos Santos felt like the most wrestlery. Like he did a power slam. He tried to do. He did a moonsault, a reverse moonsault, or a standing moonsault, but he kind of landed on his head a little bit, but rotated enough. It was fine.
It was on dude's tummy.
Yeah, so it was fine.
On his tummy.
Yeah, so but it was clearly like, okay, he can kind of go. He's practiced wrestling moves. Of course.
At his last match that he had, like he wrestled, a pretty good bit, and also took a table spot. Like, hey.
Yes.
Good on him.
Later in the match, Arlovsky was clearly being helped along by Ethan, but that's fine because they worked it out. So
at one point, I don't know if you noticed, but Ethan Page like literally was holding his hand at one point to get him in position, but it was cute. It was fine.
It was sweet. It was sweet, boys. So at this point, the match became a street fight because everybody went outside. Now, I didn't understand. I was like, oh, they're going to hit each other with kendo sticks. They're going to hit each other with trash cans. Well, it's a Minneapolis street fight. Now, to me, also, that means nothing because Minneapolis means nothing to me. Do they drink beers? I don't know what they do. So, what this meant was hockey sticks, toasters. Yep, is there something about did they invent the toaster? Is that a thing?
Maybe they have a toaster factory?
There was a Prince symbol.
Yeah, the Prince symbol. No, I figured it out. I just looked it up.
What is it?
There is a hometown hero from Minneapolis, the Brave Little Toaster. Okay. Yeah, Brave Little Toaster was born in...
Don't make this shit up. Come on now. We're a reputable podcast. I'm going to look this up now. Toaster.
Fucking hometown hero, the Brave Little Toaster. Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Wikipedia.
Fighting out of Battle Creek, Michigan.
A toaster is an electric small appliance designed to expose various types of sliced bread to radiant heat. Okay. Research, similar inventions, history. The first electric bread toaster was invented by Alan McMasters in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1890. What the fuck does this have to do with Minnesota?
I think they just had a toaster.
No, that doesn't make sense with how much thought was put into everything else. There's got to be a toaster factory or something.
Choice, although they they probably will get into trouble with Prince's estate.
All right, I'm searching Minneapolis and searching. Control effing for toaster brings nothing. What the fuck? Does this have to do with... Okay, anyway, listen, I'm moving on. There's a toaster. The Prince symbol I did have to explain to Anthony, but I think you're just not as familiar with that era of Prince, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I like Prince, but I've never, sat down and listened to an album,
I like Prince. The artist is a little not as good, in my opinion. But he was always cool, so that's fine. And, Minneapolis loves him, so...
Yeah, one of the few Mormons who fuck.
He wrote that awful Minnesota Vikings theme. One of the worst fight songs I've ever heard in my life. But R.I.P. Somebody got bonked over the head with a big wooden Prince symbol. They also had a bunt cake pan. Which got us that amazing call, not the damn bunt cake pan or whatever
not
the fuck
is. Not the damn bunt cake. I saw some of the British people. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they're not familiar with what a bunt cake is, and they're and there's something about a butt cake? I don't get it. I guess it's an American thing.
In Europe, they're like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, and so the fact that they think over here in America we have a butt cake is very funny to me.
Oh, there was one more Minneapolis prop, which was the trash can, because it's full of trash. Minneapolis. Oh.
Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. If
people, you're all trash. Okay, but anyway.
If God was going to give the world an enema, he'd put the tube right here in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, I did forget also the football, which played into one amazing spot where Santana Ortiz put Paige and Scorpio in dual submissions, like a pyramid submission hold, like they were cheerleaders. And then Sammy Guevara came in and spiked a football off the top guy, as hard as possible.
So fucking funny.
It was so funny.
And I'm sorry, as a bullied child, I have had a football just chucked at my midsection before, so I felt the pain.
Yes. So there were so many wacky things happening in this match. Basically, the only other stuff that's important is Sammy. Oh, should also be time to mention the fan. I forgot about the fan. There was one girl in the corner at ringside who I identified after a little while, because initially, for example, Pac would do the Black Arrow, and you'd hear, I can't probably emulate this, but as loud as possible. I can't really do it, but a woman screaming like she's seen a mouse and is jumping up on a table, right when the flip happened.
Yep. Right when something dramatic would happen.
It was perfectly timed every time. So, Sammy started climbing this ladder, and he heard, Sammy, and he got all the way up there, and I think he just did a front flip. He did a
swanton,
He did a swanton onto a table. It was a very tall ladder.
Super tall.
Onto Scorpio for a near fall, and the entire time he came down. Sounds like a pterodactyl or something.
Is that a pterodactyl in the audience? Oh, by God.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be checking for those.
Other important spots. Ethan Page got into an argument with Jake Hager's wife, who happened to be sitting next to Baron Von Raschke, who gave him the Iron Claw.
I'm telling you, just like if you have Chekhov's Baron Von Raschke appear in the first act, that Baron Von Raschke better go off
claw somebody. Yeah, it has to happen. Raschke's claw. It's not Chekhov's gun. It's Raschke's claw. It's gonna happen at the end. So good on him for getting paid. Good job, buddy.
I love it. Oh, it's fun. It was fun.
The only other interesting thing is Jericho got in the ring with Lambert, and they started to go home because Lambert is going to die by Jericho's hand. And the spot was Jericho knocked him down in the middle of the ring, and he was going to do a springboard lion salt. And he hesitated. And then you heard him say, Junior! Junior! Because Junior Dos Santos was supposed to break it up, but he was nowhere near the spot. And in about 5 seconds, Junior Dos Santos appears, and oh my god, he breaks up the lion salt, which he managed to go jump. And you know what? Given the rest of the match, I really do think I think it was a botch, but it worked out because the rest of the match was dedicated to Eddie Guerrero. It was so much like, where the fuck are you, Vicky? It was so perfect.
Where the fuck is Vicky? Where the fuck is Junior?
You know, honestly, I'm probably getting worked. If I could ask Jericho one question.
Oh no! The thing is, if you give it away in the question, he will agree with it and go, "Yeah, we planned that." I'm glad you noticed that.
Oh, damn it! There's no way to know.
There's no way to know. Jericho is carny enough; he will go, "Oh, it really makes you think, doesn't it?"
I wouldn't give it. Okay, so here's the thing I would do. I would ask Junior Dos Santos, and what I would say is, what happened with the ending to that match? And then he would tell me the truth. Maybe.
Yeah, because he would feel shame, you know.
Or he would be like, it was Jericho's idea. He told me to do it. I don't know what the fuck his problem is, because he doesn't even know what the whole deal is. So, yes. But after this, Jericho did the frog splash off the top, pointed to the sky, said, I love you, Eddie. I loved it. I do think he was hamming it a little bit, but it's wrestling. You're allowed. It's like when Joey Styles came back for like One Night Stand, like 06 or 05, and he was like, I love you. Oh my God, or whatever. It was obviously fake, but you know, it's nice.
Yeah, because Joey Styles has never loved anyone ever because he's a conservative monster who hates gay people.
Well, he beat up JR, so, you know, who's to say whether... I mean, not JR,
Bradshaw.
JBL. Yeah.
I was going to say, holy shit.
The other J guy, no. The other J guy, not gay guy.
Yeah, he did beat up JBL, but it's literally like, yay, Alex Jones got knocked out.
Sure.
Oh, that's cool as hell. It was Rush Limbaugh who did it.
Well, no,
like,
Anthony, I'm saying because he beat up JBL, it's impossible to say whether he's a good or bad person.
Fuck. We just don't know.
We just can never know.
Let's take a drink of water, asshole.
Okay, now, we're probably going to kill a lot of time. Oh, the match. Jericho beat Lambert. I give it 3 3/4 because it was like a garbage smoke and mirrors, and there were some botched things, but it also had some crazy spots, and it was a lot of fun. I don't really care. It wasn't up to that level, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. It did not feel like a long match, even though I think they went like 20 minutes.
They went just under 20, 1936. Yeah.
Yeah, like. Oh man, it was after everything that had been happening, you know, the Eddie and Punk match finally got the show back on track.
Mm-hmm.
This was a wild spectacle match that, like, I like out of AEW. I really like these spectacle matches.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was very fun. Everyone did great. Even Junior missing. I'm not even mad at it. I'm
not.
like, yeah, I can see that. Come on. I mean, that's wild. There's so much going on. So yeah, 3.5 stars for me. It's better than just an average match, but you know, it's not like must see.
Not an all-timer. Yeah.
It was very fun though. Yeah. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad it was placed on the card.
Yes.
Because, you know, like, as I've said before, but
Yes.
Now it's time.
Well, no, I have to preface this with something we may have to discuss for a little while. I'm sorry. Because I was excited about this last night, but I have learned things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, did you learn things?
I learned things. Okay, so Tony Schiavone came out for the main event to introduce Jay Lethal, who is All Elite. And I was very excited because I like Jay Lethal. I like his wrestling. I like his characters that he's played. I think he's really underrated. I challenged Sammy Guevara. I was on Wednesday. I was all excited. Then I went on Twitter today.
Okay, I was thinking of some. Oh no.
Yeah. Well,
what's up?
Most of the tweets about Jay Lethal are like, I was so happy to hear about Jay Lethal getting to speak out on AEW last night. Google Jay Lethal speaking out to find out more.
Oh no.
So now that I've appropriately killed the buzz for the main event, sorry, but
for the main event,
I don't know. Maybe he'll. Well, no, he's signed. You know what? Maybe there'll be enough pushback. There's traditionally been pushback on that type of stuff. Yeah. They still have not gotten Ric Flair after all that business happened.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Ric Flair is focusing on his podcast, though, and it's going to be the best wrestling podcast you've ever seen.
I don't know about that.
Ric Flair doesn't know how podcasts
work. Have you heard Bruce Pritchard's? I don't know if he can beat that.
Fucking God.
Or Vince Russo's?
Someone the other day was like legitimately saying Bruce Pritchard's podcast is one of the greatest wrestling podcasts of all time, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Come on now, we're way better. We're way better than Bruce Pritchard. Fuck that guy.
Really.
Have you heard our show? Come on. What are you talking about? I talked for 10 minutes about Minneapolis. What's your problem? I talked about 411 Pain. What are you listening to?
Yeah, if this were the Bruce Pritchard podcast, then he would have talked about Minneapolis, but been like, oh, can you believe all the times that we went riding up and down the road and got some hookers and oops, not supposed to tell on that. Oh God. And then we drew a whole bunch of money. It was me, his brother Love. I was fighting the Undertaker. We had done a reverse swerve, but it was just a house show. So, it never got on TV, but Mark Calloway was just too afraid that I'd take the heat off of him.
See, I thought you were going to say, like, the main thing I remember from when I was in Minneapolis was how great Vince McMahon is and how he's the perfect man and I love him. Like, that's all he does.
He's a perfect man. Yeah, I mean, if Bruce Pritchard isn't putting himself over, then yeah, he's sucking up to Vince McMahon. Awful.
Yes. Anyway.
You're a toady, you should be ashamed.
Main
event.
On
to good things.
Yes,
good
I give
things.
the Jay Lethal signing 0 stars. Major dud. Adam Page versus Kenny Omega with Don Callis for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in your main event.
Here we go.
So, going into this, I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. Mainly, I was like 99% positive Page was winning. They don't do those types of swerves in this company. Like they know when to pay off things, at least. You can give them that. So my main concern was I like Hangman, and I like his storyline most. And I do like his wrestling, but I haven't seen him, like, do too much. Like, I haven't seen him work really long matches, honestly. Like, that hasn't been traditionally what I see. I see him, he's cool for what I see, because usually he does the Deadeye, he does the buckshot, he gets cool setups for the buckshot, he does, like, planches. Yeah, he's cool, but what I mean is, like, Kenny Omega has big, long, crazy matches that are, like, barn burners, and I didn't know, like, okay, what I was thinking, I didn't think it would be bad, but I was like, well, it'll probably be, like, I was thinking like, well, if it's disappointing, it'll be like the Christian match, which wasn't bad. It was good, but it just wasn't like your traditional Kenny Omega match. It was just a good match, you know, which Kenny kind of carried a lot of it. But I was wrong because this was an all-time classic without any doubt.
My God. I mean, from the moment the opening package hit and I heard the clop clop of Adam Page on a horse. One, I've been wanting Adam Page to come out on a horse ever since the Stadium Stampede again, and finally got the wish. And
well, he didn't. Adam, I should not to take away your.
It was a package.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Seeing Adam Page walk down the deserted streets, seeing his failures play before him, and the promo package just setting up, this is his final shot. This is the redemption. This is for everything. Oh my God, I started losing it because this is the kind of story that I love in wrestling. Because we followed Hangman. Like, you weren't watching AEW whenever it first came out because we weren't quite friends then. But whenever it first came out, the very first main event of, AEW proper was Hangman Adam Page versus Chris Jericho. For the inaugural AEW championship. And the thing is, like, going into it, I was like, well, I don't really know Hangman all that much. He wrestles all right, but there's just something missing. And I said that for a long time because I was like, I like Hangman. I like that, like his first feud was like with MJF over the Dynamite Diamond ring. But I kept going, there's something missing with Hangman, and I can't get behind him. And then they started telling the story, and BTE really got me because I just started tuning into it because I didn't watch it at first because I was like, it's a travel blog. Because I was thinking from back in the day. I didn't realize that they did skits. They did backstage stuff. And it honestly expands. And so when I saw the Dark Order being goober weirdos and chanting fuck Hangman, and then Hangman Adam Page walked in and he was like, nah, keep going. Fuck Hangman. Fuck Hangman. And on his face, I saw the hatred and self-loathing that he had as he got more and more into screaming with these people just fuck me. From that moment forward, Hangman Adam Page had me. Because, much like many people, the person I hate most is myself.
Sure.
And there is something absolutely powerful about that. And seeing Hangman overcome these obstacles, hitting these roadblocks, almost getting there, it has been a magical journey that wrestling rarely takes you on, but you treasure it every time it happens.
Yeah.
And this is that match.
The booking has been next level. Now, I do agree with you that the package was amazing because it went through all of his losses on that horse in the desert, and then it finally culminated in his horse arriving at the majestic Target Center. But I'm just kidding.
Historic Target Center.
Yeah, it's with the fucking logo and the whatever. It's fine. It's fun. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been watching as long. However, I did remember seeing Hangman when he was in Bullet Club and thinking he was really fucking cool. And like I thought his gimmick was the same way I thought Marty's gimmick was cool, but we all know how that turned out. So that's like the reverse, where it's like, well, fuck Marty, so he's not.
Yeah. Apparently how Jay Lethal's turned out.
Yeah, apparently. It's wrestling. But the thing about Hangman was, I knew the cowboy shit gimmick, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. And then I think I started probably around Stadium Stampede time. Well, wait, that was during COVID. So I got to see
the start of the COVID era.
Right, and I got to see all these like little snippets of it. I came in kind of in the middle of his kind of arc, but it was essentially they got over very well. He's not okay. He's got problems with how things went down with Kenny and with the title, and he's downtrodden, and it sucks. And I was like, okay, cool. I usually, generally, I like those angles in wrestling where somebody's just been beaten down and lost in certain ways where they doubt themselves, they don't believe in themselves anymore. Usually, the problem is, I like the angle. Usually, the problem is the payoff sucks.
Yeah.
Eddie also does this gimmick, by the way. It's really Eddie's gimmick too. Is I have all these problems and I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me, and I've never lived up to my potential, but I'm gonna do my damnedest. He kind of lives his gimmick, which is a whole different thing, and Hangman does too, to some extent. But the thing that I liked it originally. The thing that convinced me that they were doing something with it and it was actually working really well and going to pay off was the Dark Order. Yeah. Because when I started, also, Brody was still alive. And in my opinion, I love Brody to death. And I always loved him, even when he was in Dark Order. But at that time, to me, he was the best part of the Dark Order. Because to me, the faction didn't make... It made sense, but it wasn't over in the way I thought it should be. Because it was a heel faction, it was full of cool guys. And it was kind of weird and a little comical, but that kind of hurt the heelishness of it. But it didn't hurt Brody because Brody was always in offense to that. But when Brody died and the company just changed, I was like, I don't know what they're going to do with this Dark Order thing. How can they stay heel? But how can you turn them face? I feel like you have to disband them. But they did the opposite. They're just somehow faces.
A family.
They're just a family. And
here's the
Hangman of all people ended up in that family of all families. It was completely subversion, made no sense, but it worked.
Because originally the original thing was, the Dark Order hated Hangman Adam Page because he foiled their Scooby-Doo gimmicks a lot of the time. Yeah. But then, when they saw that they were actually hurting Hangman in a personal level, they were like, oh, come on, we're not evil. That sucks. Yeah. And they said they just asked the question, what is a cult but just a goofy family?
Well, in a way, I think originally Brody, sooner or later, the other members of Dark Order were going to split off and turn on Brody.
Oh yeah, it was going to be John Silver absolutely breaking out.
Sure. And but what happened is Brody died. Nobody could have planned on that. And I think what happened is it was like, well, we're all going to turn face anyway. So why don't we just be faces? It was almost like Hangman and the circumstances just turn them face by necessity. And that's such a weird way to do it, but it worked so well and organically that it ended up making sense in the weirdest way.
I'm sorry, some of the things on BTE.
Yes.
Seeing Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order tripping balls together.
Yes.
Was some of the funniest fucking shit ever.
Yes. So And I know about, like, I did see the very beginnings of Hangman and Kenny's breakup when Kenny turned heel and all that kind of stuff, got the championship and rose to bigger things, all that
Kept
stuff.
trashing Hangman on the mic, just being like, you're a great tag team wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you're not a singles competitor. Hanger.
Right. Yep. Oh. And just little things over the years and stuff. And it all came down to this. I think this was, I will say, this was supposed to happen at All Out. And I will say, if this happened at All Out, I don't think any show would ever beat All Out. Like, I think if that was the main event, that show would have been all time forever. Like, there's no way any show would have ever beaten that. But we finally get it here. Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. They start. They just. I mean, Callis is kind of getting in the way, tripping up Hangman throughout the match, but Hangman's like watching him the whole time. Again, we have a smart babyface, so it's not like Callis is ruining the match. They did a lot of chops. There was a lot of great heel work by Omega, which I don't think he gets as much credit for. Like, he did a thumb to the eye, he pie faced him, he did an amazing spot near the end where he teased doing the buckshot, I think, but he just casually went through the second and third ropes, and he fucking paid for it because he waited so long to fuck with the crowd that Hangman just immediately fucked him up. There was a amazing / terrifying spot where Hangman was backwards on the top rope, and Omega jumped over the ropes off the apron into it was like a power bomb or something. What was it? It looked fucking...
Yeah, he did a sunset power bomb.
Yeah.
To Adam Page from the top, and it looked insane.
And Hangman twisted during a sunset power bomb, which was oh god, and it was very fast. He was fine. There were a lot of points in this match. There was a point near the end where he ate a Tiger Driver, and I didn't think it was the finish because there was no way Kenneth Omega was pinning Hangman Adam Page on a Tiger Driver. But I did think Hangman wouldn't kick out because I thought he was dead. I thought he got knocked out at either before that or literally he was just taking so much.
Well, it eventually got to the point where they were literally doing the Japanese spot of I drop you on your head. Now you drop me on my head.
Yes.
And they were just doing a lot of concussion-based offense.
Yes. There was one point where Omega was literally just paintbrushing him with the feet and kicking him in the chest while he was bent over, and Hangman just got up and said, "Is that all you got, motherfucker?" Really loud. And
that's such babyface shit right there.
AEW, thank God, they have all these people who've worked in Japan or know Japanese wrestling, and thank God they brought over the idea of strong style and that kind of stuff over here, because nobody else does that stuff. And it's such a shame because it's so easy to get over just people fake hitting each other. Or just, chopping each other, just real hitting each other. But you know what I mean? It's not, they don't have to do moves and they can get it over. There were a lot of teases of the buckshot. I did think this match was going to end with the One Wing getting kicked out of, which did happen. But Omega didn't do the One Wing. Adam did the One Wing on Kenny, and he kicked out of it, which is fine.
Which, to me, it subverted expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I really liked it because, you know, Hangman came at Kenny with everything he could, including Kenny's own move, and that still doesn't do the job.
Yeah.
And like, also, you know, at the very beginning of the match, something that I would love to know if it was a plant or not.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But there was a sign held by someone in the crowd.
Yes.
That said, "What would Coda think?" And
the
Kenny
answer is nothing.
Head empty.
Head empty. Kota Ibushi is thinking about go-kart racing. He is not concerned with anything.
Kota Ibushi is currently trying to pick out which Lego set he wants to put together.
Exactly. He's thinking about what his favorite shiny Pokemon is. He's not concerned with Hangman Adam Page or Kenny Omega. But yes, go on. It was a great sign and a great shot.
He doesn't even remember who Kenny Omega is because his object permanence is absolutely shot.
The goldfish, Kota Ibushi. Yeah. But it was a great shot. It was a great sign. They keep teasing it because I really think they want it to happen. Now, I think Kota is badly injured. I think he had a really bad injury. It was either G1 or...
Kota broke his arm fighting Okada.
Yeah, so it might be a while, but I really do think that's on Kenny's bucket list 100%.
We see, hopefully... I mean, we'll talk about it after, but yeah.
Sure.
So...
Yeah.
This match began building to an absolute fever pitch.
And then it kept going. And not in a bad way. It hit a climax and then it does what like those great Japanese like Wrestle Kingdom main events do, where it hits a fever pitch and then it just keeps hitting more of them, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like you kind of just can't even believe it. My favorite spot of this match, of all the spots, and probably no one will agree with me on this, was the ref bump. Because
that was a perfect ref bump.
Everybody was just in the exact right place. It was shot immaculately. Like, because Kenny was like, the ref was over near the ropes and you weren't even paying attention to him because he wasn't doing anything. Kenny's in the middle of the ring, like selling, standing up, like he's knocked out. Hangman's on the apron. He goes for the bug shot. You're like, he's going to hit him. The match is going to be over. Kenny, fucking lightning fast, just pulls the ref right in front of it. And this dude just eats the fucking lariat. And you're like, oh my God. Like,
and there was just enough stumble from the referee to where you believed, oh, he just got pulled against his will into this.
Yep. And you knew he's not making a pin anytime soon. And it was just like, and a minute later, Paige hits the fucking Deadeye, and you're like, oh, you know WWE logic. You're like, the ref's out. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to suck. Immediately, fucking Aubrey sprinting down the ramp. The crowd was so happy. They were chanting Aubrey's name.
Running like Aubrey was on fire.
Yeah. And you could actually, you got the impression, like kayfabe, that the people that run AEW wanted Hangman to win fairly, but they wanted, like, the graphics team had the chire at the beginning.
Oh my God, yeah, we're proud of you, Hangman.
The graphics team, yeah, like, literally, you could tell everybody it was, like, his moment, and they were all there for it. So, yeah, I mean, and it's silly that a ref bump is my favorite spot, but, like, it was just
it was
so
good.
Perfect.
And
yeah.
Honestly, ref bumps do not happen in AEW much.
No.
And that is a good thing.
Totally.
When the
well,
ref
it makes this one better.
Out, yeah. When the ref gets knocked out, all of a sudden it's like, oh, anything can happen. Like, oh, geez.
So the match just kept building and building. He didn't put him with the Deadeye when Aubrey came out. They did backdrop drivers. Paige went for the buckshot, got the V trigger started.
This Paige is when even did a V trigger to Kenny at one point.
Yep, this is when Paige countered him with his one wing and got two, and then, well, around this time, the Young Bucks came out, and this is a case of you don't have to pay attention to know what's going on, but if you paid attention, you get more out of it. Because the Young Bucks had said, and the commentators did point to it, but you really need to pay attention. The Young Bucks had said that, like, well, I think Hangman had told them if you interfere, you're dead to me.
It was during a Rampage segment. Hangman came to the Young Bucks, and this is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman has done a complete redemption because he apologized to the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
For costing them their title match against FTR. For doing all of that. And he said, you cost me my chance at Kenny a couple of months ago. So as far as I'm concerned, we're even.
Mm.
And if you come out there to mine and Kenny's match, I will ruin you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And the Young Bucks were sitting there thinking about it. And the Young Bucks came out and they sell so good.
Mm-hmm.
Subtle things. They came out and they both looked like they didn't know exactly what they were doing out there.
Yeah, they looked worried.
They looked worried. They looked like indecisive.
Mm-hmm.
And it led to one of those moments in wrestling that is like transcendent.
Yeah.
Because the story pays off. Oh.
Yeah. They stood out there. Paige hit a buckshot to the back of Omega's head. He went to the side of the ring. Matt Jackson was standing there. He looked up to him. He nodded at him very subtly. It was not obvious, but it was, and it wasn't like a, yeah, kill him. It was like a, okay, I guess you have to do it. Like, it was a very, like, I'm okay with it. Like,
it was a culmination of, like, I've been wondering, like, could they ever have an original, like, Elite reunion?
Mm-hmm.
And after this, because, Hangman's big, driving force has been, like, family and depending on friends and learning to accept help, like, there's a chance now that, like, they could organically, like, team back together later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it opens so many possibilities, and when you have characters that interact with one another and they can change each other, you have magic, and we got magic.
Yep. So he hit the buckshot, and he won. And everybody popped. Huge. It was the bet. He had a really great celebration, and then there was a little bit of celebration where we were like, they have to come out, and then the Dark Order came out.
Yeah.
And I almost missed it, but somebody pointed it out to me. Alan Angels went to hand him a beer, like, here's your beer to celebrate, and he grabbed the beer and threw it away and hugged Alan Angels instead. It hugged everybody. It was amazing.
Oh.
It was the best.
Yeah, no notes, 5 stars.
It's 5 stars. Like, come on. And if you wanted to go higher, I could understand. Like, it basically, when you talk about, like, some matches aren't perfect and they still get 5 stars because it's just about the pageantry and the story and the moment and stuff. This automatically gets that. Plus, the work was fucking immaculate. Like, there was not a mistake anywhere in this match. So, like,
one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like,
yeah,
period, bar none. Amazing.
It was amazing. I give it 5 stars because I don't go higher than 5 stars. But I'm sure Dave will give it like fucking 7 stars or something. But
it's fine. He's old. He's weird. He's a dinosaur. Get him out of here.
I'm okay with it. He's working his way up to 10, which he'll get there. I mean, honestly, if you want to talk about long-term storytelling, I don't think there's a better example of long-term storytelling than this.
No, I mean, before this, I would have said Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. But unfortunately,
that's been that driven down, yeah.
That got, like, if you look at their first 3 to 4 encounters, amazing storytelling. That took, like, 2 years to tell. And then they were like, oh, we need to fill a slot on Friday night. Yeah, Tommaso and Gargano, let them fight again. Hell yeah.
Yeah, when you talk like long-term booking to me, like the things I think of are like Sting and Hogan, which everybody knows they fucked, Or you think of like Bruno Sammartino, but that's just like the dude won forever, which is good. But I mean, like, there wasn't too much story to it outside of he fucking wins all the time, which is a good, it is a good story, but it's not on this level of like payoff, like setup and payoff. Like, this is set up years in the making, which is just crazy.
I mean, it's amazing. It's great.
So that was the end of the show. I will say, you know what? I think I would tie this show with All Out. I think it's tied because they're both really important in different ways. And if you look at like the debut, I think All Out is the most important show they've ever had in terms of, I think it was the turning point of this company to where it's going now. And I mean, it's pretty hard to, like, you look at the talent they got and what they did going forward. And it's very clearly like it's the end of the COVID stuff we were doing. We're back in business. We're doing big things. And plus, I mean, match-wise, it was great. I feel like this one, it had the one huge angle. It had 2 really big angles and one like unbelievable angle that I don't even think they can top because it's like the all-time AEW angle at this point. And then the rest of the show, the booking wasn't. The work was great, but the booking was not on that level. So you kind of take the good and take the bad. All Out had all the hype and the payoffs, but the main event didn't have this kind of circumstance to it. Obviously, it was a stopgap even though it was good. And the tag match was, of course, an all-time classic that over-delivered, even though it was supposed to be great. But like, they're great for different reasons, but I feel like they're just as great as each other. I couldn't put one above each other. I honestly think it's probably like a 4.5 show, which in pay-per-view terms, very few shows I feel are over like 4 stars. Generally. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I think you're pretty right on that. This one is very important in different ways, and also, like, I feel like, and I'm very guilty of this, don't get me wrong. I'm very guilty of, like, looking at something else and going, well, this wasn't as good as that.
I do that all the time. That's fine. You have to...
And that kind of, like, peppers my view, and I feel that that's almost a very poisonous way to look at it, and I'm guilty of it, don't get me wrong.
Sure. I agree.
Like, I still have my complaints out of this, and, maybe I can be proven wrong on, the Rush style concept experimental jazz album that Cody Rhodes is creating. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Who knows?
I know you're just playing it up, but I am not making the case that it's somehow genius. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like an avant-garde thing where I think it's weird and I don't fully understand it, but it's fun to think about. That's all. It's definitely not like an epic work of genius. At least not yet.
Who knows? Maybe they prove us wrong.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's Rush's 2112, but wrestling. Who knows?
Sure.
But wonderful show. It was very good. I had my problems. I was like, honestly, a lot more down on it before I started talking to you, but now I'm really seeing the merits that it has. And you know what? Not everything has to be as good as like, oh, this thing or that thing. And you know what? Everything was fine. I love wrestling, actually.
I think for me too, it was a weird case of like, in the middle of the show, it's just how pacing works for these things.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it wasn't living up to what I would thought. It was still good, but it wasn't living up to it. And then after the show, the more I thought about it, I was like, that's a really good fucking show, though, which rarely happens. Usually what happens is I watch a show and most of it sucks and the main event's great. And I go, oh, that was great. And then I go back and think about it, like, oh, wait, that show kind of sucked. It was just the main event. Yeah. Or like, oh man, what was the Royal Rumble with, I think it was the one where Reigns won and everybody was pissed. But that was the Royal Rumble that had like the Brock Lesnar Rollins 3-way that was fucking incredible, but no one remembers it because all they remember is the shitty Rumble with Roman in it that sucked. So it's that kind of thing where like, if you, depending on how you pace out the show, like you can have completely different takeaways, and later on you think about it and you're like, oh wait, that show is actually good. Like I am a big proponent of like, I know people say X7 is the best of all time, but like
it has some real stinkers on it though.
The battle royal is a joke, and I know it's supposed to be a joke, but like it's pretty bad. And then the main event, like it's important, but honestly, the finish sucks. It's a really bad finish. For a huge once-in-a-lifetime main event, the angle is pretty bad. And, like, I love that. Don't get me wrong. It's an all-time show, but, like, I do think people look at, like, the circumstances and the placement and the end of the Attitude Era and how and kind of the legacy and stuff, and they really overrate it a little bit. Because if you just look at it as just watching it, it's like, yeah, it's really good, but they kind of drop the ball on some stuff. And it's kind of the same with the show. It's really good. They drop the ball on some stuff. They hit the fucking main event perfect, and they hit a few other matches perfect. Women's division obviously needs work. Some of these people need better fleshed out angles. But hey, in terms of wrestling, you're never seeing this shit on WWE like ever, unless like some crazy fluke happens. And then like even independent shows, they do good work, but it's hard to build that kind of storytelling with that too, and have it work that way. So yeah.
So yeah, great show. I mean, great show. And so now just to close it out real quick, because I know we've been here a while, just want to say I've got a clear and decisive Wild Pegasus this week.
We know who this is. Go ahead.
And that is you. The guy with the green shirt that appears at all the WWE shows, and now you have infiltrated the AEW. Jesus fucking Christ.
Your stupid tan hat.
I hate your face. I hate your shirt. I hate your guts, and I hate your black and terrible, sanctimonious bullshit personality. You are a fucking joke. I hate everything about you, and if I was there live and saw you, I would yell at you. I would throw water on you because you are one of the worst things about wrestling fandom that there ever is. Stop watching wrestling, you fucking clout-chasing piece of fuck.
Do you want me to bother to name this person? Because I can.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's Superfan Smiles is his moniker. He sucks ass.
He sucks so fucking bad.
He has an ugly neon green smiley face shirt that he wears to every fucking... He probably has a whole wardrobe of them. He has approximately $1 billion, which I just assume based on the fact that he's at every fucking show of all time, including the Saudi shows. He has a shitty tan baseball cap and an ugly chin strap goatee. He sucks ass.
Yeah, and this isn't because like, oh, he's at every show. The things he says, because he has a online like social media presence. Whenever I first noticed him at shows years ago, I was like, oh, it's that guy. I like that guy's there at all these shows. Yep. That's cool. That's dedication. But then I took one look at his social media stuff, and it is literally the worst cesspool of wrestling fandom that you can ever imagine. He openly was like, making fun of Nia Jax for being big. You can make fun of Nia Jax for many reasons, but weight fucking sucks. He constantly slut shamed any fucking woman that was out there. His opinions are horrible. He often wishes death on people. Like, he is everything that is bad and wrong about wrestling all the time. And if you criticized him or just even lightly said, hey, this opinion kind of sucks, he was always like, oh, what the fuck's your problem, snowflake? Wrestling isn't a safe space. Fuck you. I hope you manage to get out into very heavy traffic.
Him and Brock Lesnar guy, who is also at every AEW show now. Can y'all just like let somebody else be ringside?
Why are y'all there? Why the fuck you're WWE people? Like constantly the time on these, they constantly say, oh, WWE's better. They're going there just for the clout and just to continue their like online persona.
Even outside of that, if you're wrestling fans, no one cares how much money you have. Okay? You don't need to be ringside on the hard cam every fucking show. Okay? What do you want? Do you really want everybody like to me, I understand, like, I'm sure the wrestlers are like, they're supporting us by paying all this money every show. Okay, but somebody will always pay that money. To me, they're just as bad as people that jump the fucking barricade and try to get in the ring. The show's not about you. Okay, you don't need to be on the hard cam every fucking show. You fucking mark. Like, sit on the fucking reverse cam. Sit in the fucking second row. I don't care. Get off the fucking camera. Like, and they care about that because they wear the same fucking outfits like clowns to every fucking show, so you see them. It's like, I'm not paying for these shows to watch you. I don't care about you and your shitheads. So
yeah, and also like 9 times out of 10, if you look at them, they're just sitting there with their arms crossed on the fucking hard cam while everyone else is losing their shit over stuff. Go fuck yourself.
This guy loves wrestling so much. This guy in this green shirt loves wrestling so much that he gets front side, ringside, hard cam with the same outfit every show, so he can mildly open his mouth in amusement at every spot. This guy doesn't fucking love wrestling. He's never marked out in his fucking life. Yeah, he just goes, man, I like that. I like that. Fucking clown. Get off my TV, dude.
Like these weak ass claps from these fucking flimsy ass soy fucking wrists. Normally I wouldn't say that shit, but I know that would get under his skin because he thinks he's a goddamn Sigma male.
If this guy cared about wrestling, he'd buy other people tickets to the front row and he'd get his own fucking nosebleeds. Like, that's the thing, is because he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about being there.
It's clout chasing. It is clout chasing and get out. And this goes for you too, Frank the Clown. Fuck off. No one gives a shit.
Do you have any words for Green Lantern fan? I don't think he still goes to shows as much. Maybe he goes to ROH shows or Chikara shows or whatever. You remember that guy?
Sort of.
It's the guy, the Super Dragon, that guy.
Oh my fucking god.
He just continually gets his ass beat at shows because nobody fucking likes him.
That dude sucks ass, don't get me wrong.
He's funny.
Wow, he is a part of wrestling history.
more than this Smiles guy is ever going to be, yes. Anyway, I agree. I have no complaints about that. So,
yep.
Next week we're back to. Well, wait, we're doing your boy.
Yep.
Giant Baba.
Next week is going to be Giant Baba Yaga. We're going to see how his chicken legs work on his hut. We're going to make sure that the children that he boils are just right coming out of the pot.
Oh my
it's
God.
going to be wonderful.
Do I need to do research on Giant Baba?
No, absolutely not. I'm going to regale you.
That's good. I can stop overly recounting every match. Wait, are you you're gonna give me matches to watch though, right?
I'm going to give you matches to watch.
Okay, then I'll have something to take notes on. That's fine.
Yeah. 3 to 4, but as far as like his private life and everything like that, allow me to tell you a tale.
Oh no.
Have you heard of the Giant Baba?
Have you heard of the High Elves? Next week so I'm going to be watching 3 or 4 of Giant Baba's Broadway draws.
Very delightful, super impactful matches where he flaps his little chicken arms and he actually takes flight.
Well, look forward to it.
Jokes aside, the life and times of Giant Baba, I think he is going to turn out to be a very interesting individual. And also, I really want to see who is behind the machinations of the King's Road. So,
all right.
Important episode, if you ask me.
Next time, we will do that. Thanks for listening for 4 hours.
Yeah, thanks. Hopefully this gets
we edit it.
Down
it's fine. We edit it down 2 hours. It's fine. We cut out all of the pauses, and it's just
Although, I mean, if you dare touch my rants against fucking Smiley, I will come through the computer.
Oh, Norman Smiley! I love Norman Smiley. What's wrong with you?
Everyone loves Norman Smiley. Hey, take it easy, everyone.
Have a good one.